All right, so good news today. We have exactly 0% dropped frames. So I don't know how long this is going to last for. We're going to take advantage of it while it's here. And we're going to finish building the Special Forces Industry Sentinel. Now, we pretty much came close to finishing this last time. We completed all of the parts for the sniper form. We built the pistols. However, there's a lot more weapons and accessories that this model has we're going to need to get through today. I did play around with this kit a little bit. I've started to form some thoughts on it, but I think I'll save most of them for after we finish the build this stream. So, welcome everyone to this Channel 2S stream. Welcome Matt, welcome Alex. We're going to get everything ready here, get all our parts out on the table, and then we shall begin. So, this box is getting awful light. We're making really good progress. So, all of these, yeah, these are the gray parts. We have the pieces, and we have these smaller section parts over here. Belongs with the white ones. We'll stack these. Top blues. Those are going to go right here. And the white and gray sections, those can go right about here. Set the extra parts over there. You can panel line them with acrylic paint. Most people generally prefer enamels though. Oh, hey man, Pig, welcome to the stream. Okay, so it was right about here. This is where we left off before, which means we're going to need some of these parts that fell off the truck. So there's one shield. And that's this piece here. I also need the bigger shield part. Hi, ID Monster, welcome to the stream. I don't know about mixing dish soap and water with acrylic paint to make a panel lining compound. That sounds kind of sketch. I don't think that would work. So I need the other version of this part. Yeah, the reason that other one popped off is because it's only attached at these two gate points here, so it really doesn't take much to pop it off the runner. So, got these four pieces. Now I need the underside, which is going to be a gray part. I've seen this one. We're getting to the point now where I'm using pieces that I've seen on these runners so many times by this point, where I pretty much already know where everything is. I gotta say, you ended the last stream perfectly, starting to complain about the internet and it cut you off mid-sentence. Yeah, I was not too happy about that. Things were really going good last time too. It was actually, we were having a lot of fun talking about, oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about 3D printing. Because I was actually getting excited talking about that, because that's something that I've been kind of looking into a lot recently and experimenting with, and I was talking about some really cool stuff, and the internet just decided to evaporate and just say, no, fuck you, you don't get to talk about cool things that you like. You're instead going to just talk into a void. So, you know, that was nice. But today we have 0 dropped frames, so we're going to be able to enjoy a nice, lovely, uninterrupted stream. When I cut pieces from the runners, do I use the God Hands first? I use the God Hands only. I do the God Hands about like maybe 2 millimeters away from the part, and then I just shave down the rest with a hobby knife. I paid the dropped frames in advance. Dude, I paid the dropped frames in advance for the next year of my life. That was an insane stream. I've never had that bad of an experience streaming before. I've done some test streams at different I've done some like private test streams at different times of day though, and I think I've figured out what most of the problems were. And unfortunately, It's nothing that I can really fix myself. It's just a matter of like what time of the day I was streaming at versus what day it was. There's kind of a natural like sort of rush hour to the internet, and if I'm streaming during that time, I'm just going to have a really, really bad frame rate. So I'm going to try to keep my streams to the more off hours so that I can get a better experience. So I need these 2, 3. Yeah, okay. I think I can just start trimming the pegs on these now. Start trimming the gates. And I've got a fresh blade on my knife, so it's going to cut like butter. I gotta say, the plastic quality itself is like the least of this kit's problems. It is not an issue at all. Whatever they use for the plastic on this is just completely fine. I think just the raw plastic quality is not an issue at all here. Now, does fitment leave some to be desired in certain areas? Yes. But the actual material itself, totally fine. It cleans up nice, it looks nice. There's an argument to be made that in some ways it actually looks a little bit better than Bandai's plastic because you have that nice matte finish on it. But overall, I think it is a pretty good material that they chose. What do I think of Shia LaBeouf in Transformers? It's been a long time since I've seen the Transformers movies that had Shia LaBeouf in them. I haven't watched those since I was like 12 years old. I should rewatch them sometime. They're probably... I want to say they're probably okay, but I feel like the lack of taste I had at that time probably colored my positive perception of them significantly. I've heard people say that the first one was actually good though, so I might just rewatch that one. So I can keep my fond memories of the others in the past where they belong. Can we get 300,000 drop frames today? Thankfully no, DatCat, we aren't, because we have a flawless stream right now, 0 dropped frames, 0%, 3,500 kilobytes per second. We are absolutely killing it right now. Things are going just fine. And I'm going to stop talking about them in case I jinx it. Please, nobody in chat talk about how well this stream is going so you don't ruin it for all of us. Building Ultron Endless Waltz later and tad intimidated because it's an imported buy. Oh yeah, that was probably the Master Grade, isn't it? The P Bandai one. Yeah, that can be a bit expensive to pick up because if you're in a country that doesn't have the US or doesn't have a P Bandai shop, it's definitely an in-demand kit, so it gets pretty pricey. Manpig, shut your mouth right now. I actually have one of those Ultrons in my backlog. I really want to build it at some point. I like the TV Ultron. It's a really cool design, but Ultron is actually one of the few Gundams from Wing where I pretty much equally like the EW design and the TV design. Usually I have a pretty strong preference for one or the other, but Ultron is the one example where I pretty much equally enjoy both of them. Oh, I've already seen every film, Alex. I've seen all the Transformers films, just that some of them I haven't seen for a very long time. In fact, I think I watched almost all of them in theaters, except for maybe the couple most recent ones. And that will probably include Transformers 1, even though that movie looks kind of, I don't know, like yeah, it's a kids movie, but like, we've also gotten some really good kids movies in the past, and this does not look like one of those, so I'm not expecting too much from it. I don't know if it'll be a theater watch. I might just wait until it comes out on streaming. I feel like I'm not a fan of Transformers because Transformers has a strong identity in Transformers, and even at its most super robot, still Transformers. Oh yeah, it's a very American series. I mean, it was like, yeah, it's based off a toy line by Takara, but the story concept and the characters and all that stuff was made by American writers. It's very much an American series. Which is why it's so interesting to see Brave, because Brave is almost like what Transformers would have been if Transformers was made entirely in Japan instead of being a joint production. A lot more of a focus on combiners, which is something interesting that I've noticed about Japanese mecha, is that transforming robots are not nearly as common in Japanese anime as combining robots are, especially if you look at things historically. Like, yes, Macross has the transforming robots in it. Gundam has some transforming mecha, and obviously there's Transformers in Brave, but even within Brave, there's a lot more combiners than there are Transformers, and you look historically at stuff like Getter Robo, Combatler V, Voltron. Historically, Mecha's always had a much bigger focus on combiners than Transformers. Which also gives the actual Transformers franchise a little bit less of a Japanese feel. What's my opinion on Arizona green tea? It's fine. Got it from Japan 88 and throw it up in perfect condition. Nice. Say nothing of stuff like Bayformers that scorns being mecha. Man, I remember thinking when I was a kid that like the Bayformers designs were cool, but once I saw like literally any other mecha designs from like Gundam Seed or Endless Waltz or like non-Gundam like mecha anime, I looked back at Transformers and I was like, man, what were they doing? Because it's not even realism. It's genuinely not realism, because you can make amazing looking realistic mecha that don't look nearly as just chaotic as the Bayformers designs do. And man, like, I have some nostalgia for some of them, and I don't like hate all the Bayformers designs. I think some of them are cool. Like, I think Jazz looked really good. I think Ironhide looked cool. You know, there's a few characters here and there that I really like, but man, especially when it came to the Decepticons, everyone was just like a big mass of gray spikes, and after the first few times, it's just like, man, can you like give them a little bit of personality in their design, maybe? That's one of the things I did like about the Bumblebee movie, was that it seemed like not only did all the Autobots have that very G1 faithful look, but even the new characters like Dropkick and Shatter had very, very unique and distinctive designs that didn't just feel like big metal blobs. I've heard from test screenings it's actually one of the best Transformers films so far, and the trailers aren't indicative of the full thing. It's not a kid's movie, it's rated PG-13. Well, for a PG-13 movie, boy did that trailer make it sound like a kid's film. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Like, man, if that's not a kid's film, they need to fire their marketing team. Grew up on Transformers in the 80s? Yeah, I grew up on them in the 2000s. It's one of those kind of timeless things. There's some franchises that they just stick around forever, and there's like a version of them for every generation, and Transformers is definitely one of them. Oh hey Riku, welcome to the stream. Did I ever get into Zoids? I did not get into Zoids, but I have always liked the look of the Kotobukiya models, and I've wanted to try one before, but they're all so... There's no like entry-level Zoids kits. Everything is like an $80 plus, you know, master grade Verka tier model, and it's kind of intimidating to get into, so I never picked up any of them. Transformers has a lot better designs outside the movies. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, you know, like, you look at, like, the, I mean, I was trying to think of an example of a Transformers series to use that has standout great designs, but they're kind of all great. Like, I'm thinking back to the stuff I watched as a kid, like Energon, Cybertron, RID, Prime, Animated. Like, I didn't like the animated designs that much, but, like, man, there's some good Transformer designs out there. Like, there's really specific ones that I like where they manage to like perfectly balance the classic look with modernizing it, and one of those that I've always really liked was Armada Optimus Prime, because when you really look at it at like a detail by detail standpoint, it doesn't really have any of the hallmarks of Optimus Prime's design. Like, you don't have the windshield chest, you don't have the smokestacks on the shoulders. A lot of those little design elements that are always on his design aren't there, but man, it looks like such an Optimus Prime. And I love it. It's a great design. Also really like the helicopter Megatron from Animated. Those are like my peak Optimus and Megatron designs right there. Why the hell does the G rating even exist? Honestly, that's a good question, because I can't remember the last time I saw a G-rated movie that wasn't like literally made for babies. It basically doesn't exist anymore. Speaking of not existing, my mouth has just decided to stop moving completely. There we go. That's better. I no longer have to psychically broadcast my thoughts to you guys now. Unicron Trilogy and Beast Era. Yeah, Unicron Trilogy had really cool designs. The thing I don't like about the Unicron Trilogy is that was kind of the era where they didn't really care about what characters they were making. They would kind of just make a robot design and then just pick a trademark that was about to expire and slap it on the figure, so you'd end up with like a Micromaster that turns into an off-road truck called Shockwave or something stupid like that, where it's like, hey, let's take the name of a classic character and just just throw it on this random new robot toy we made. And they were good figures, they were cool designs, but they just like take a random like classic character's name and slap it on. And once we got past that era and they started to care a little bit more about making them have a consistent look for each character, I liked them a lot more. But as individual designs, isolated from whatever character name they're skinwalking as, yeah, the Unicron trilogy designs are pretty great. Especially the new characters. Like, I'm so glad we just got that Vector Prime in the Legacy line, because I love Vector Prime, and he's one of those characters I've always wanted to see come back somehow. Yeah, with the Unicron trilogy, most of them are new characters, but there's also a lot where they're just taking like, hey, here's a random character's name. We're just gonna stick it on this new figure because the trademark's about to expire, so we're just gonna keep kind of just throwing the names on random figures to perpetuate it. And I was not really a fan of that. I think it was really, I guess it was animated really where they started to care a lot more about making them look the way they're supposed to look, or not even so much supposed to, but like just get them to the point where you can look at the character and visually identify who they are supposed to be without being told beforehand, which is something that the movies struggled with as well. But with animated, with some of the later shows, like the more recent ones we've gotten in the last decade or so, they've gotten a lot better about that. Oh, hey, MJ, welcome to the stream. I love Unicron Trilogy most personally. Everything looks so good. The designs themselves are good. The toys are really fun. I love those Transformers Cybertron figures. Those are honestly like peak Transformers toys to me. So anytime that I see Legacy go back and redo a Cybertron figure, I give it like some serious side eye. I'm like, man, you guys have to like absolutely nail it to do better than the original Cybertron figure. And a lot of times it's kind of hit or miss. You know, Override was pretty good, but then there's others like the Cybertron Hotshot where I'm like, man, this just looks like a smaller, cheaper, hollower version of the original toy. So it's kind of, some of those it's a little hard to justify. Last time we talked about Notori Striker Pack is unlikely, but it actually shows up in Freedom, something Cavalier and Notori pair set. I mean, I think they already confirmed the Notori set, right? Oh wait, no, Notori the Strike Rouge pack. I was thinking of the Awashi pack. Never mind. But yeah, Notori pack is probably likely as an option set, and I think the Cavalier is an option set too. I don't think they'd really bundle them together though. Oh, I saw your second message there, man, Pig, about the Japanese names being different. Yes, that is true, but Hasbro still decided to go ahead and use it as a way to recycle trademarks, so I guess you could just refer to them by their Japanese names. That would be kind of a way to do it, kind of make them feel more like they're their own guys. Animated was the last really good piece of Transformers media. I don't think there was ever a point in my life where I liked animated. I watched Transformers animated as a kid, and I had quite a few of the figures, but I don't think I ever liked animated. I kind of just watched it because at the time that I was growing up, it happened to be the current popular Transformers thing, and I watched it because of that, and that was kind of... there was stuff that I kind of liked about it, but it never really, like... I don't have, like, a ton of love or nostalgia for it. I do commend the designers, though, for taking a bunch of designs that should never have worked as physical figures and somehow making it work. That was very, very impressive on the part of the Hasbro and Takara engineers that worked on those. The J27, which runner is that? That's probably a blue runner. I think J's a blue runner. Okay. All right, we're getting some fresh uncut runners in here. Oop. I want to completely ruin that. There we go. Hotshot's a pretty good update. It kind of, at best, I feel like it's a lateral move, just because Hotshot was kind of one of the better figures in Cybertron to me. Like, I think to this day that Cybertron Hotshot's still a really good figure. What are these pieces are for the bit, right? 2930? Yeah, 2930. Okay. Dragon Ball Z abridged Dr. Gero Cooler VA voiced Megatron in one of the recent Transformers shows. Yeah, there's a lot of... The voice acting industry is not as big as you would think it is, so you see a lot of reused voices like that. Kind of knocked out cold after a day of filming the Kaplant and Gem. Nice. Good on you for going to the gym. So you're doing a Gaplant video soon? Is that the like the standard Zeta Gaplant or the Advance of Zeta one? Beast Wars, Robots in Disguise 2001, and Animated, my favorite 3. Rescue Bots, of all things, I enjoyed a lot more. Rescue Bots was a lot better than you would think it was. Yeah, that was a surprising one. I really liked Beast Wars. I really liked Transformers Prime as well. That's definitely a peak show for me. And the Unicron trilogy stuff, it's okay. RID was fun. I think RID 01, that's like a that one's up there. I don't love it, but it was definitely very enjoyable. It's also kind of RID is also kind of a special show to me because that was one of the ones that I was watching on YouTube. You know, the classic back when on YouTube you could find just entire episodes of TV shows split up into like part 1 of 3, 7-minute chunks with the, like that era of YouTube was when I watched RID. And because of watching RID, that was how I started getting recommended also on YouTube a lot of the anime that I first started watching when I got into anime. So that's kind of a special show to me for that reason. It was kind of my gateway drug into the anime world. If you rewatch Animated today, it's really good just as a show. I mean, maybe. I definitely remember not being that impressed with it as a kid. Forgot what, Alex? What did you say? Robots in Disguise 01 was a palate cleanser after Beast Machines. Robots in Disguise 01 was kind of... I mean, it wasn't even really meant to be like an American Transformers show, right? Like, it was just a thing for Japan that they decided to bring over here at the last minute. And at some point, they were even planning on bringing over, I think, like, Gal Gaigar, but then they decided against that because, well, that would just be weird, right? Like, there's an alternate universe out there where Gal Gaigar is Optimus Prime. Just think about that for a minute. It almost happened. Transformers, Final Fantasy VII. Oh, Team 4 Stars, Final Fantasy VII, Machine Abridged, Cloud is Deku. Yeah, it's a lot of those guys ended up getting like legit voice acting roles in the industry. Not as big as you would think it is. The times before when YouTube was free, yep. You could find all sorts of stuff on YouTube back then. Although I think, to be fair to them, nowadays I believe the Transformers YouTube channel does just like upload entire episodes of the cartoons, so there is that going for it at least. And you can find it on like Roku and some of those other like free streaming services will have a channel for Transformers. And a lot of other like classic cartoons. Yep, car robots in Japan. I remember back like 10, 15 years ago, a lot of the car robots figures were actually way cheaper than the RID equivalents. So if you were trying to get some of those older figures, it made more sense economically to get the Japanese versions than the American ones. Although nowadays they're both about the same. And also, it wasn't the Japanese versions. It was like the Sonokong Korean releases of the Japanese figures were the cheap ones. And as far as I remember, they were pretty much the same as the Japanese versions. About Brave Riding and the Super Robot. Yes, that was the first, I believe that was the first ever, like, transforming Super Robot. That definitely was an early example of that. I happened to tape the first airing of Beast Wars Season 3's first episode. During that airing, the only time the MV for Beast Machines Evolution Revolution was played. So much hype. Interesting. This is obviously this is the kind of thing that will definitely not last on YouTube for long, but it is there right now. I randomly got recommended this YouTube channel earlier today from this guy he just uploads entire television programming blocks from the 90s and early 2000s. So he'll upload a 4-hour long Toonami Midnight Run from like 2009 with like Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho and Gundam Wing and like all the classic anime, but it's the entire run. So not only is it every episode back to back, but it also has all the commercial bumpers and the advertisements and everything that would be in between them. And he has like hundreds of videos like that for like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Warner Bros, Fox Kids, like all these like classic cartoon programming blocks where he just uploaded the entire thing. And it's like a 4 to 6 hour block with all the episodes, all the advertisements. It's really cool because it gives you like that little look into the past where you can see not just the shows themselves, but the context that they were seen in. And, you know, if you want the authentic experience, you could actually wait until midnight, watch the Midnight Toonami run, and it's like you're right back in 1996. Yeah, the channel, actually, I'll look up the channel name right now to see if I could clue you guys in on it. It was, what is his name? Rinse Repeat. That's the name of the channel name. It's just called Rinse Repeat, and they just upload a whole lot of old programming blocks. Yeah, it's really cool preservation. Now it's almost definitely not going to last long on YouTube. I'm sure that the guy's been doing this for a couple years somehow, but if it got into my recommended algorithm, it's probably getting into other people's as well. So it's probably not something that's going to last very long, but it is really cool that it's there for now. I might try and see if I could download and archive some of his videos. Yeah, it's got a certain energy to it. So we need to build the armatures now. It's going to be in part 27s. Maybe the top bit here. There you go. Now I need 1s and 10s. A quick question. Why do people say Astro Boy is Super Robot? Believe it or not, first episode is Dad says we're going to construct a Super Robot Astro Boy. I wonder if that's an English dub thing or if he actually calls him a Super Robot in the Japanese version. Because that sounds like something they would just... Astro Boy is old enough that they sometimes played kind of fast and loose with those dubs, so I wouldn't be surprised if he might have maybe used a different term to refer to him in the Japanese version. It does feel strange thinking of Astro Boy as a super robot, though, because typically with mecha anime, it's all like very big robots, so a human-sized mecha kind of feels like a weird thing to include as part of the genre, although I guess depending on how broad your definition is, it could fit. But then by that logic, like, Mega Man's a super robot. And I mean he is in Super Robot Wars in the mobile game, but the more broad you get those sort of descriptions, the more weird things become. I remember seeing a screenshot online of a guy asking if the classic children's book Mike Mulligan and his Steam Shovel counts as a mecha anime. Because depending on how vague your description is, I mean, it's a machine, got a human pilot, you know? The first super robot is Mazinger, it coined the term. See, that's what I've always heard. That's what I've always heard, is that Mazinger was the first one. Because you had the stuff like Tetsujin 28, but they didn't call it a super robot, they were just big robot. The scientist said that in the Astro Boy anime back in 1962. Okay, so that would have been in the... Would that have been the Japanese version? Well, no, I guess if Mazinger coined the term, then it would have been like an English dub thing. I guess it would depend on if Alex watched the show subbed or dubbed. Man, that must have been pretty crazy to be the guy that basically just invented super robots. Like, imagine being Go Nagai, and you're just sitting there stuck in traffic, and you have that one idea that will, like, basically create one of the biggest genres of entertainment in your country's history in just a few decades. That is one of those, like, foundational moments. Are there any good Re-100s beyond the show queue? Oh, there's a lot of good Re-100s. In fact, most of the line is pretty great. Now, they're not necessarily worth the crazy aftermarket prices to go for now, but kits like the Afreet Custom, the Bawu, they're really nice models. Honestly, even the Gun Easy, it's basic, it's simple, but for what it is, the Gun Easy pulls off the basic simplicity pretty well. Yeah, they're worth MSRP. I wouldn't say the Gerber has loose joints. The joints on them can loosen up over time just because they're larger models that use high-grade style joints, so there can be weight issues with some of the models, but I've not really had any serious joint issues with any of my kits. And I've built probably around 5 or 6 different Re-100s. Yeah, I miss Re-100 too. That was a really cool line. What makes it super though? Does looking ugly AF makes it... No, being super powerful makes it super. It's like a giant metal superhero. And then the real robots are the ones that are more machine-y, except whenever you try to create a hard definition for what the difference between real and super robot is, it gets really messy because sometimes super robots have real robot elements, and there's also certain real robot series that realistically are kind of only real robot by tradition, because if you look at something like, you know, Gundam 00 Awakening of the Trailblazer or the Turn A Gundam was a completely un-Gundam related show that just came out today, everyone would probably call them super robot shows just because of how insane the technology is. Like, there's not a lot of real robots that can teleport across the solar system. Okay, yeah, you watched it in English. That makes sense then. That probably was a dub thing. Super robots ignore realistic things like damage and physics. See, that's true, but then there's also times where super robots get damaged. When my mouth is just hanging open in shock because I've kind of zoned out a bit, I guess, but there we go. My favorite real robot is the Leprechaun. I honestly can't tell if you're shitposting or if that's the name of an actual mecha. From a fantasy world. Yeah, sort of. But like, then you have like Aura Battler Dunbine, which is definitely in a fantasy setting, but I feel like that kind of leans a little bit more on the real robot side in terms of just the storytelling and how it works. Is a Victory MG really that bad? It's not great. If you just want something that's going to stand on a shelf, not pose, just stand there, literally just standing and look really, really good, it's not a bad kit. If you're ever going to touch it, if you're ever going to think about touching it, not worth it. What if they Re-100 but they were HG in retail releases? I mean, I guess a lot of the Re-100 kits kind of ultimately ended up getting an HG of some sort. We ended up getting an HG Nightingale. We ended up getting an HG Afreet. We ended up getting, I think we got a couple other, right? We got an HG Mark III. That's another one. So some of them they did eventually make as high grades. Oh, hey MJ, welcome back. In the early 2000s and 2010s, Mecha kind of stopped caring about older real robot grit and mechanism and became very flashy and clean. Yeah, there's 2000. It's almost like there's 3 types of mecha. There's real robot, super robot, and modern robot, and those are like kind of 3 different things. Because you don't see a ton of modern super robot, and even when they do a modern super robot, there's a lot of real robotisms they kind of blend with them. Like Bravern, for example. It's definitely super robot, but there's also a lot of, they mix it with a lot of real robot elements as well. HG DJ, that's another one. Arthur Show parodied Transformers but called them Cyber Toys. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Transformers is definitely a big enough pop culture phenomenon to get referenced in a show like that. Real and super aren't the only 2 types of mecha, it's more like a scale. Yeah, it's like a hard sci-fi, soft sci-fi sort of thing. There's as many types of mecha as there are imagination, yes. Do these bend both ways? Yes, they do. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way I assemble these. The closest thing would be the tropes the show represents. Yeah, like, I feel like in terms of, like, instead of, like, distinguishing by the technology, I almost feel like the storytelling has more to do with the distinction. Like, real robot shows are often have more of, like a war drama kind of feel to them, while the super robot shows almost have, like a sort of superhero adventure kind of vibe to them. Like, you look at You look at like Mazinger Z, and like that could be like a superhero cartoon, basically. You know, it's very much like, you know, the weekly adventure of the boy and his giant robot mech, you know, going on adventures and fighting bad guys and blowing them up and stuff. It's very much got that like superhero kind of feel to it. Oh, I did not denub that. Gunbine's 100% fantasy and unrealistic AF, but the story and writing are 100% real robot. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. It's not literally, it's definitely not realistic mecha, but it's got that real robot feel to it in the way that the story is presented. From what I understand, Dan Kuga is kind of like that too, where it's very obviously a super robot design in terms of the actual mech design. But from what I've heard, the show itself has a lot more of that like kind of realistic war drama sort of feel to it. HG Victory, I would say, is worth it, Alex. That is quite a nice kit, especially if you can get your hands on the second Victory. That's a really nice version of the Victory Gundam. They did some great improvements to it. Dan Kuga's a super robot show, but somewhat real robot. Yeah, it's sort of in the middle there, from what I understand. Fafner's a serious drama, but it has these unrealistic robots and aliens. Yeah, I've never seen Fafner, but from what I've seen or heard of it, I always assumed it was a real robot series, just because the tone kind of gave that vibe. Why does Bandai hate the Ifrit? They did all 3 Blue Destiny units, but the Ifrit Kai is banished to P Bandai, while the Ifrit Schneid, which pretty much was in Unicorn as a cameo, gets retail. It's probably because Bandai saw the Ifrit Schneid and Ifrit Kai as roughly equivalent in terms of popularity, where one had a small role in a very popular show, and the other had a large role in a very niche game. So they saw it as probably an either-or situation where they were of equivalent sort of value in terms of sales counts. So they made one retail and one P Bandai for the Re 100, and then switched it for the high grade, since they probably saw them as being pretty much equivalent to each other in that sense. Now, whether or not that is true, that could depend. But wait, what? Hang on, did I assemble this right? No. Okay, I need a couple more of these vent pieces. Okay. I'm getting myself distracted a little bit. The characters are hot-blooded, but they're definitely military pilots. Yeah. V2 Assault Buster is great, especially if you paint it. Yeah, the Victory high grades aren't too bad. They're a little bit on the simple side. They kind of have that older All Gundam Project construction where it was like an earlier attempt by Bandai to try and make high grades as simple as possible, and some of the kits with that construction style are okay, and some of them aren't. They've got a little bit of variance in them in terms of quality control. It can be a little all over the place, but you know, if there's a Gundam that you really want to get, and the All Gundam Project era kit is pretty much the only one it has, it's not like a reason to not get one. Everything cool you know about Down Kuva's not in the show. The show gives its antagonists so much interest that none of their mechs are named. Oh wow. The finale of Dan Kuga's an OVA. The show does not have an ending. Okay, yeah, I know I've seen very little of Dan Kuga, but what I have was probably from the OVA. Love my HG Victory to death. Yeah, the thing with the All Gundam Project kits is most of the problems are quality control ones, which means if you get any one individual All Gundam Project kit, it's either going to be a great experience or it's going to be a not great experience, and it's not going to be the kit's fault. It's going to be the fault of whichever particular instance of that kit you bought. Like 3 different people could build 3 different Victory Gundams, or 3 different Crossbone Gundams, or 3 different Wing Gundams, and you know, 2 of them could have like a floppy mess, and 1 could have one that's totally fine. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how it was with the kits from that era, and Bandai recognized that, so they made some sort of adjustments and modifications to the standardized high-grade design they were trying to work with. And when the Revive RX-78 came out, that's when they really started to clean up a lot of that stuff. I have a high-grade Victory Dash. It's all right. Yeah, they can be decent kits. They can be bad kits. It depends on your personal experience with them. But if you want to roll the dice, they are pretty decent representations of the Victory Gundams, albeit a little on the big side. Why does most of Victory Gundam take place in Europe? I don't know. Probably wanted to just go for that sort of aesthetic. I have a high-grade Victory 2, but it was just me cleaning up a pre-built one. High-grade V2 Gundam is a cracked faceplate, managed to build it without breaking, so now my V2 is an edgy face scar. Yeah, it's like the Destiny Gundam with the tears of blood running down its face. Like, man, That is like such a like sleeper edgy Gundam, because usually with like the edgelord Gundams like the Strike Noir, the Death Scythe, it's really obvious and over the top. But then like Destiny is like just subdued enough that you almost think it's like a normal Gundam, and then you just see the blood tears running down the face. G Rework has water slides from one of my favorite grunt model kits, hands down, the Origin GM. Yeah, the Origin GM's a cool kit. Gunbine was real when they made a character named Daryl Kuchibi, who's a bloodlusted French psychopath. Man, I need to watch Dunbine sometime. Dunbine and Elgheim are probably the ones that interest me the most out of that whole crop of like 80s real robot shows from Sunrise. They gave her the most 80s design ever. Destiny has the edgy pilot, didn't need to go over the top of the gun itself. Yeah, but like, I love how you can see like just a little bit of that edge bleeding into the actual Gundam. Just a little bit. Just the crying tears of blood on the face and then nothing else. Elgheim was the best performing non-Gundam real robot from Sunrise. Really? I guess that makes sense. It does seem to get a little bit more love than the others do. I do quite like... I like the designs from Elgheim. Like, obviously... I can never remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy who did the Zeta designs worked on it, and I really like his general sort of style and aesthetic that he goes for. And I also really like the way the pilot suits look in Elgheim. I like that like kind of half visor that they have where it sort of comes partway down the face, but it doesn't form like a full helmet. I think that's a really cool look. And the characters, honestly, even the character designs themselves really have that kind of Zeta Gundam adjacent look. Like, everyone in Elgheim looks like they could be a character from Zeta Gundam. Or at least all the ones I've seen. I'm sure there's some wacky looking dudes that I'm just not as familiar with. Elgheim invented modern mecha design philosophy, invented the interframe. Interesting, okay. We knew high-grade Legend Gundam. Yeah, we need new high grades for a lot of those old Seed Gundams. Oh, the gigantic arms gap plant. Okay, that makes sense. That was a relatively recent release, so I could see why you would do that. I don't see a lot of people building the old Zeta plant nowadays. I don't think it's that bad of a kit, but it's just, you know, why get that when you can get the Advanced of Zeta ones that come with more stuff? And even if you're not going to go for one of the P Bandai ones, I think even the standard Harairu looks a lot... It's got a lot more interesting stuff going on with it than the standard Zeta one. So this just pushes... This is on like a little double hinge, and it can push into the arm. And you just sort of... Ooh. You gotta be careful with it, because it's pegs and very tight hinges. But you can hinge it down, and there's your shield. Now that's option 1. Option 2 is you could... Well, okay, maybe not that way, but... What if I... Wait. Yeah, how do these... Oh. Were these always attached to the arms? Hang on, let me look at the pictures on the box. Because I thought these attached to the backpack. I thought they were like the Thunderbolt Gundam's shields. They do, okay. They do attach to the backpack. There's just some extra armatures you have to build for them. Elgheim is Nagano characters, but also the guy from previous shows. Nagano character designs are quantum to me. Either they look really good or really awful from moment to moment. Yeah, I think they looked pretty cool. Why does Victory Gundam have awful animation? I mean, I don't think Bandai put a ton of effort into that show in general. Like I don't think they had a lot of confidence in its success. All right, so you guys coming together. I did try and give him his pistol here. There's a slot in the hand where it can hold certain types of weapons, but not all of his weapons have a connection peg. So the pistol here, this isn't actually tabbed in. This is just being held by his fingers. Fortunately, though, his fingers are very tight, so he's able to hold it just fine. There's not really a comfortable place to put his thumb. I kind of just stuffed it down here in the corner. It's a little awkward to get him to hold stuff, but once it's in his hand, it seems pretty okay. Set you down here. Recommend getting one of the old no-grade C Destiny kits. Yeah, the no-grades have aged a lot better than the high-grades did. Recommend getting the base Hyrule, Retailer Purple, the gigantic arms, a massive detriment. Yeah, sometimes if you just add too much to a kit, it's a lot less enjoyable in the base model. There's a few kits that I have that technically have a bunch of add-ons, but I often find myself just displaying them as the base kit instead. I ended up doing that with my high-grade Do Gundam heavy weapons system. Yeah, the HWS is cool for like a few minutes, but I found myself enjoying the standard New Gundam a lot more. But yeah, Tomino was not having a good time while they were making Victory Gundam. Still love my no-grade gold frame Matsumina. Yeah, I mean that's basically the only 1/100 gold frame we have. No Master Grade of Matsumina custom 15 years after the Astray mold came out. So 12 and 13. We're gonna start working on the sniper barrel now. Is my avatar? Yep, my avatar is still moving. Okay, good. That went right in my lap. Nope. Okay. Which HG Gundam is not beginner friendly? I mean, I guess maybe a really old one might not be a great first impression for a beginner. I would say something really big like the Neo Zeong, but even in that case, it's just bigger pieces. It's really not harder to build or anything. In general, Bandai seems to make their high grades pretty beginner friendly, no matter which one you choose. It's just a matter of the individual quality of the kit be more than like how challenging it might be. Thunderbolt kits aren't beginner friendly, even high grade. I mean, I don't think they're unfriendly to beginners, they're just not very good kits. Like, you build them and the builds feel like they tried to sort of simplify the construction on them a little bit because of how complex the designs are. So there's like they have like 150% of the stuff going on that a normal Gundam does, but they only got like 120% of a standard kit's budget, so they kind of cut some corners here and there. But like, I wouldn't say they're bad for a beginner. Like, they're a bad first impression, sure, but the beginner is not going to have like a super challenging time with them. I didn't find they had a lot of small parts and details. I just found that they were, well, I guess they could. I guess it depends on the kit, because like the Psycho Zaku has all those little thruster pieces, so it can depend a bit on the model. But I think like the Atlas Gundam, I didn't consider that to be like beginner unfriendly. It's just, you know, honestly, the Atlas was probably my favorite one out of the lot. It was just kind of a unique and interesting design. I don't think Tomino ever happy when making anything. If he did, they wouldn't have to remake everything. He makes movies and OVAs so many goddamn times. Yeah, Tomino's a bit of a troubled artist. My Infinite Justice Type 2 and Sword Launcher Strike orders have been filled. Nice. I am so excited for both of those kits. I was not at all interested in the Infinite Justice Type 2, and then I started seeing some actual pictures in hand of the kits, and I was like, man, that thing looks so good. And the Launcher Sword Pack's just great too. I'm gonna have to get myself a strike, gonna have to get myself a full set of those and make me a perfect strike finally. I remember the high grade Seed Remaster Perfect Strike was one of the earlier Gundam models I considered getting when I first got into Gunpla. It was only probably about a year or two old at the time, and I was looking at it and I was like, man, this design is so cool. This kit kind of sucks. Like, I never actually got one myself firsthand, but like just looking at reviews and stuff of it, I was like, man, there's so many missing color sections. It's got like these big shoulders. It just looks weird. It's got bad articulation. It's like, man, I was like, this would be so cool if this was just a better kit. And now, what, like 15 years later, 17 years later, we've actually finally got our better Perfect Strike kit. So I'm definitely looking forward to building one of those. You think the Moon Gundam is a non-beginner friendly kit? I mean, it's complicated. The thing with Gunpla is that even when Gunpla are complicated, it's not really harder, it's just more of the same types of steps. That's the thing with that. So even with something more complicated like the Moon Gundam, I wouldn't really say it's beginner unfriendly. I just finished building the Arc Yagya. Oh, nice. That's a kit I want to build sometime. I love the look of the Arc Yagya and the Gion Salat. Both of those suits, they take like everything that I don't like about the Gion, and they just make it better. Like those two completely fix the Gion for me. I love them both. With the latter, I just used a bit of gold Gundam marker for the armor. Yep. Yeah, you're definitely gonna want to use something other than the stickers for the gold on that one. What do I think of they ride the seed hype to make the main secondary series to make a consistent flow of new stuff and give UC a few years back from the spotlight? You know, I could actually see that happening. I don't know if I could see them completely abandoning UC for a while in favor of Cosmic Era, but I could see them keeping both of them around. So like instead of getting a UC show and a new thing, I could see us getting a UC show, a Cosmic Era show, and a new thing. I'm kind of keeping like all three of them sort of running at the same time. Strike itself is one of the worst HD seed kits ever. Yeah, it's pretty bad. 7 and 5. Do I have any hobby stores in Maine? There is one that's pretty good that is in like I think like South Portland or Westbrook, so it's pretty far away from where I live. It's a few hours drive, but it's got a pretty decent selection. I've never looked for any hobby stores in Massachusetts before. That's a little bit outside of my range. C5. Double O would be the next series to get a third season. I could see them experimenting. Now that they've had such a massive success with Seed, I could see them trying to maybe bring back some of their other old shows and giving Double O something, but I don't think they'd give it a third season. They'd probably test the waters first with an OVA or movie of some kind. And I don't think we'll see very many, if any, like straight adaptations of manga like Double OF. I think what we're gonna see is original stories like Seed Freedom, where they make an entirely new story within that universe instead of adapting a manga. So I think that's it's something I could see them trying with Double O, but I think they're going to probably try to milk Seed a little bit more before they start moving on to other timelines in that regard. You've been to Massachusetts multiple times. You have family there. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the hobby store scene in Massachusetts. You'd probably know more about that than I do. I mean, they've basically confirmed at this point they're going to be working on another Seed movie, right? Like they've pretty much stated that it's already greenlit. I don't remember how in what like official of a capacity they did, but I'm pretty sure someone involved in production said they're going to be making another. That. So. Oh, I see. Uh-huh. Yeah, we definitely have more confirmed Seed content. I can't remember if they specifically said it was another movie or if it's going to be like a OVA series or what, but whatever they did, they definitely want to do more of that, because boy did that work out well for them. Bukad himself said so. Okay, that's what I thought. I figured it was from someone like him. I just couldn't remember if it was like an offhanded remark that he made about maybe doing more, or if it was an actual like confirmed thing. Double O's mostly run its course. It's certainly one of the complete timelines. It is. It's definitely a complete timeline, but it's also, while there is a massive margin between Seed and Double O in terms of success for Bandai, and I know like in terms of like individual popularity among the fans, they might be pretty close, but in terms of like profitability for Bandai as a company, there's a huge margin between Seed and Double O. But even with that margin, I think Double O is still, I think, like the next one after Seed, even though there's a big gap. So if they were to try and bring back any other Gundam timelines, they would probably go for Seed. They would probably go for Double O first. Even if it is a complete timeline, like the need to make more content would probably supersede the sensibility of just ending the timeline. So they'd probably find some contrived reason to make a new war happen, or have some secret in-between war. For Double O, I think they might properly adapt the story with the XCR4. Maybe. I could see them doing that, potentially. Since that's a little bit more obscure than the manga, so not a lot of people might have seen that. Momentarily changing topics, thoughts on Hollow Justice? I haven't watched the Hollow Justice girls too much. I saw their initial reveal trailer. I think I watched a little bit of the red-haired one, and she seemed okay. I haven't really given them a lot of time to get used to them yet, though. It takes me a while to get used to a lot of the new Hollow-y engines. It took like a good probably like 4 to 6 months before like was it Council was the Goddesses one. It took me a while for me to get used to those ones, but I'm sure I'll come around to the new gen eventually. I don't know why people want Bandai to adapt mangas. People wish there was a Crossbone anime, but there's like 20 plus Crossbone mangas out there, from prequels, sequel, what ifs. Yeah, I think it'd be more interesting to see anime that are based off original storylines than things that we could technically already experience as a manga. I definitely see where you're coming from with that. C14. Where are you? There you are. What if there was an anime version of Black Cauldron? I mean, that was yeah. Oh, I guess you said that in the comment, but that wasn't a Disney original movie. That was an adaptation of a book. And if that, there are certain like random pieces of Western literature that are really popular in Japan. I don't think that book series is one of them, but if it was more popular in Japan, I could see them maybe doing an anime adaptation of it. I'm pretty sure we've gotten anime adaptations of like Western book series before, I'm pretty sure, so it would be on the table if that was the case, but I don't think that series is too popular in Japan. Fantasy book based off Welsh mythology, yeah. I think I actually read the original Black Cauldron book before I knew there was a movie based off of it. I remember literally nothing about it except for the fact that I read it. When did they ever adapt UC manga? Dawn and what? I mean, there's Dawn, Origin, Thunderbolt. That's kind of it. Like, the only ones it seems like they've really adapted are the ones that tie really closely into original Gundam and are like sort of like reimaginings or remakes of it. Big difference between a remake and an adaptation, yeah. Okay, his barrel's a little droopy, kinda. The problem with having the two parallel barrels here is it makes it more obvious that the top barrel tips downward. Because if there wasn't this one on the underneath, it would look fine, but because you can clearly see that they sort of bend into each other, it makes it look more droopy than it actually is. Let me see if I can kind of perk it up a little bit. Only thing I want an anime adaptation at this point, Sentinel. Honestly, I could, if they ever get it out of the weird right situation that it's in, I could see them doing an anime adaptation of Sentinel. Okay, so... Is that 15? Yeah. Wouldn't mind an adaptation of Plot to Assassinate Giran. Plot to Assassinate Giran's interesting, but I think I'm happy enough with it just by nature of it existing as a manga that's, I believe, available in English, right? Like there's a fan translation for Plot to Assassinate Giran. Anime for Sentinel will happen if the OG author dies and Katakawa decides to stop being Daksha. Yeah, a lot of stuff would have to happen in order to resolve the issues around that. But once those issues are resolved, I could definitely see Bandai doing an anime as like a sort of celebratory thing. Wait, what? Okay, this side goes back, and then you push the magazine on. Fate is the biggest timeline where we're laser focused on the four most important people in the universe when there are people like Lo just off screen having major adventures. Yeah, that's why I liked Astray so much. It was so fun to see a side of the Cosmic Era that wasn't just fixated on the same specific cast that the show was. By Duff Cope, animated extreme. Careful, man. You were gonna OD on Cope so hard. If you're looking for that, you're gonna be like dead on the couch in like an hour. That is a dangerous amount of copium to be huffing. Yeah, I know what you meant by an adaptation of the book, Alex. And like I said, it would depend on the popularity of the book in Japan. I don't think that book series is super popular there. M and J. Okay, so this is the fun part where I have to choose between metallic and clear, but I think I've pretty firmly decided at this point that I'm not going to use the clear parts because they've got a little... They're kind of cloudy. They have like this like cloudy sort of scratchy look to them. They don't really look that like sharp and vibrant. And then you have these metallic parts which look great. They're really shiny, they're really bright. Even when they're used as like little pieces here and there, they really pop. I think the shiny ones are much preferable to the clear ones. So I'm going to go ahead and use the metallic version of the gun scope. At least if I get a PS5, I might get a taste of what that's like. Well, I think oh, unless you mean playing Maxi Boost on the PS5. Yeah. I guess that would be the most likely way to play that nowadays, because I don't know why someone would be buying a PS4 in 2024. Gundam Extreme Versus is a fun game to play, though. If you can get yourself into a Japanese arcade somehow, it's a pretty cool to experience the newer editions of Extreme Versus. And even if you don't have a PS4 or PS5, there is always Gundam Extreme Versus Full Boost on PS3, which can be emulated quite well on PC, assuming you have a at least decently powerful system. Third party's done anything towards an S Gundam? Oh yeah, there's actually Mechanicore did a really old Master Grade XS Gundam that is just this huge, like, over-detailed monster. It's a massive model. I don't know of anyone that actually built it. I don't know of anyone that actually bought it, but it was like a huge like $200 or $300 thing. I don't know anyone that built it, but it's definitely out there. I don't know how many are out there though. I was underage when I was in Japan 5 years ago, but I killed to play an Extreme Gundam Vicious if I ever get to Japan again. Yeah, those new guys they designed were pretty awesome. Everything Mechanicore is that, they still make models. As in, like, they still make new models, or they still produce new copies of their old models? Because as far as I know, I don't think you can get their S Gundam anymore. J26 and 24. That would be... Here's the J. J's blue, that's right. They still make new models. Rodams equals Mechanicore, okay. I know your eye on the third-party PG Tall Geese, my second dream kit. Yeah, that was a pretty cool kit. 26 and 25. 26 and 24. Okay. Mecha core sounds like pain. I never want to build one. That's what I've heard. I've seen a few people sell their half-assembled Mechanicore kits. I haven't seen people do that for a lot of other models. The quit rate seems to be noticeably higher for them. The GTNH of Gunpla. GTNH. GTNH. I have no idea if that's a typo or just a term that I'm not familiar with. In-Air Lizard. Yeah, In-Air Lizard, that's the Neo Xeon looking one. That's a neat kit. It's cool it's always cool to see third parties branch out into like more kind of non-Gundam looking mecha. So we got like a more Xeon looking one coming out from them. I will say, though, I'm not as big a fan of their, like, stealth bomber version of the Lightning. Was it Lightning or Thunder? They did, like, the purple one, and then they have, like, the new one they did that's got, like, the big stealth bomber backpack. I'm not as big a fan of the stealth one. I do kind of like the first one better. But that's ultimately a personal preference thing. It's the same model underneath at the end of the day. They're both slight variations of the same thing, so... Where does this go? Yeah, perfect. I want to get the kind of like purple violet version of that one In-Era Plus kit. I think it's Thunder. I'm going to keep calling it Thunder, but that model is one that I've definitely had my eye on. The EXS has 200 decals and photo etch railings on the action base. You're kidding me. That's insane. We all know the one line where Bandai gave zero fucks was Twilight Axis. Yeah. That was like one of the kind of lowest effort things that Bandai's ever put out, to the point where it's so low effort that I almost have to wonder why they even bothered. Like, apparently the novel is actually available in English. There's a fan translation out there that you can experience, but boy, that anime is really not the way to watch it. Days 15, 16, 3 and 4. Okay. I like the Twilight Axis designs. Yeah, some of the designs are neat. I like the Byerland Isold's a nice shade of purple. I do like the Char Color Zaku 3. That's pretty cool. And it was neat to see the Arjarja again. I don't like that version as much as the Argyagya from Build Fighters, but it is nice to still see it in a new color scheme. Read the novel, and yeah, the animation chopped it up to where it's incomprehensible. I haven't read the book yet, but from what I've heard, it's pretty okay. Definitely hard to be worse than the anime was. It almost makes me wonder if Twilight Axis was planned to be something more, like it was planned to have a more significant model line, it was planned to have a more significant anime, but then partway through production, they just got their budget completely pulled out from under them. Kind of surprised to see the HG Ultron news drop right after my previous stream. Yeah, it was a surprise, but it was kind of an inevitable one. Like, we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew it was going to be P Bandai. Kind of tired of early UC. Oh, tired of UC. Early UC is such a hyper-compact mess, and late UC should really be like 100 years after. Yeah, it's a little bit bloated nowadays. I'm glad we're getting Hathaway, because that's in like a nice little area that we don't really have a lot of like oversaturation of. You know, there's no, it's past all the 1 year war glut, it's past the Grips conflict, it's past Char's counterattack. It's in this nice little space where we really don't have a whole lot occupying that area, so it it can kind of exist in its own space there, and it's based off an older story, so it's from an era where there wasn't quite as much cluttering up the UC timeline. So I'm quite glad that we did get that sort of confirmation in the last Bandai stream that they are in fact continuing to work on Hathaway 2, even if that's all they said about it. Man, I really hope they don't fumble Hathaway. I just finished building Lancelot Albion, and it's a banger. Lancelot Albion, that's from Code Geass, right? Yeah, that's the Code Geass one, I remember now. Yeah, Ultron's definitely one to pick up. I think it's a good kit. It is kind of bullshit that Death Scythe, Hell, and Ultron were premium Bandai, but if one of them was going to be, both of them were going to be, so this one being premium is not really a surprise. I do feel sorry for all the European Gundam Wing fans, though, because they're kind of getting screwed by this since they don't have their own P-Bandai shops. Final Code Geass Mech for Suzaku. Yeah, that's what I thought. I know the mech, it's just that for some of the non-Gundam mecha, I don't super close associate names with faces for them, so I'm like, wait, is that like a Full Metal Panic thing? Is that an Elgheim thing? Introduced an interesting bit that apparently new types age far more slowly than regular humans. I wonder why we haven't gotten a Gundam Sentinel. It's because the rights are a mess. The rights for Gundam Sentinel as a piece of media are a mess. Bandai can make whatever merchandise they want based off the mecha. They have the rights to the designs. But the actual contents of the story, the lore, the setting, the characters, all of that stuff is in this big, tangled up rights clusterfuck. So, for example, notice how in Gundam Extreme Versus, the XS Gundam does not have a pilot. Whenever you look at the character select screen, there's just a little, like, you know, video missing little like static icon instead of the pilot portrait, and when you activate your burst attack, it doesn't have a pilot cut-in animation like all the other characters do. That's because Bandai doesn't actually have the rights to use the pilot for the XS Gundam. Pretty sure Europe has P-Bandai, but just Germany or France. Yes, France specifically has a P-Bandai shop. I have no idea what they get for kits, but they do have one, and specifically France. I've asked some other people that live in Europe, and unfortunately, they cannot order from the French shop unless they are specifically in France. Which is kind of annoying, because I feel like it wouldn't be that hard for the French store to export to other places relative to the inconvenience of having to order them from, like, Japan or something. But who knows? I know a lot of European companies have weird import laws and stuff, so maybe it is a bigger mess. They did get the pilots for G-Gen, but again, no story. Okay, so they can sometimes get the pilots. It's a weird mess, really, the whole thing is. On the bright side, I do believe there's a full English translation for Sentinel, so you can still experience the story if you really want to. It's absolutely nonsense how new stuff doesn't get added to P-Bandai France. Yeah, I've never heard or seen any mention of new updates for the content on the store there. I have no idea how well they're maintaining it. P-Bandai France, the wasteland. They get the same listings over and over with no updates over the year since introduction. Yeah, that sucks. It probably didn't go as well as they were expecting it to. I don't know why they started with France and not Italy, since that's where apparently a lot of the European mecha fans are. Maybe Bandai already had established business contacts in France or something. Or perhaps they were judging the general popularity of anime overall, and since the P-Bandai shop's more than just Gundam, they might have decided that when it came to anime in general, there were more fans in France than in Italy. Paris has its own store. That's probably why. I mean, I think there's a didn't they do some sort of pop-up store in America? It was in like LA or something. Pretty much the source wasn't published by Bandai and the characters aren't available to Bandai. Yeah. It's just that Sentinel happens to be the most obvious, if not only, example of that. Like, I can't think of anything else Gundam that's in the same situation that Sentinel is. Even Advance of Zeta, I don't think is quite the same issue. How's this work? So this slides down. Oh, and then that... Oh, I see. Oh, that's neat. So, the handle slides in here. This tab, right where my finger is, plugs in there. And then this just sort of tips in. And now you have the extended rifle. That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. And then this piece drops on top here. And it sort of helps connect this top area here because there's a tab that attaches to there. And those two could connect together a bit better than they are, but for the most part, that's a decent rifle. And now I just need to build the barrel extension. A couple of J parts. Forget Hathaway's Flash. When are we getting the Cats movie? I mean, movie about what part of Cats' life? Like, there's, I guess, like the in-between between Gundam and Zeta Gundam. $1920, you know. USA has pop-up stores every now and then whenever there's anime or comic conventions, yeah. I think I heard something, though, about a more permanent Bandai Namco store at, like, a mall somewhere. I don't know if it was a premium Bandai-related thing specifically or, like, a Bandai hobby thing, but it was some sort of, like, Bandai store that was being added to a mall somewhere. From what I know, AOZ is that way since the MGs don't have pilot figures. Well, I don't think pilot figures are guaranteed for Master Grade kits anymore. Sometimes they'll just not include pilots. And sometimes they'll just include random characters that aren't the pilots. Like, for some reason, the F91 2.0... Was it the 2... Oh, no, it was the Alex 2.0 that comes with figures of Al and Bernie, but it doesn't come with a Christina figure. So sometimes that just happens with the Master Grades. It could also because of some sort of rights issue with it, though. With all the Advance of Zeta models, you think we would have gotten a Hyzak revive? I mean, we do. That's why we got the... We did get the Advance of Zeta Hyzak. We got the one from... They released it in the Char's Counterattack colors first as the Hobby Hyzak. But they've already announced and shown off they're going to be doing a standard green version of it. We specifically got that kit because of Advance of Zeta. No pilot figures are just lazy. Yeah, they really cut a lot of corners on the Master Grades nowadays. But yeah, there's no Chris figure with the Alex 2.0, which is pretty wild, considering the 1.0 is old enough that doesn't have a pilot figure either, so there's just no pilot figure for Chris. And then the F91 2.0 also has a Cecily figure, but it has no C-Book figure. So there's no C-Book for your Gundam F91 either. It's really kind of weird and arbitrary what figures they do and don't decide to include. Because it used to be that if they had bonus characters like that, you'd get them alongside the pilot. Like how with the gun tank, you got the gun tank's actual pilots, but then you also got Captain Bright. And that was just like a bonus thing. They didn't do one or the other. Isn't Chris the suited pilot figure? I mean, they have a seated pilot figure for her, but they don't have one of her standing. And yeah, like, she's technically inside the cockpit, but also, I would have liked to have seen, like, the actual separate standing figure of her as well. I don't mind standing non-pilot pilot figures not being there since they're used. I mean, I like the standing ones more than the seated ones, honestly, because you never see the seated ones because they're inside the Gundam, but you can have the standing ones sort of sitting next to their Gundam, and that's kind of cool. Now we just need the Hyzak cannon and a custom. They're probably going to do those. Now that they have the new Hyzak mold, they're probably going to go ahead and do those at some point. We're probably going to get a lot of Hyzak variants, actually. So, 11 and 14. 11 and 14. Man, there's going to be so many leftover parts on these runners. They're duplicated, but only about like half the parts on this runner are actually for parts that are duplicated from left to right. The rest are for single-use weapons, so there's going to be so much left over here. Which part was this? 14, I think. 14 or 11. I'll figure it out when I got the other piece off. That's why you get Macross with glass cockpits. Yeah, for stuff like Macross or the narrative Gundam where you can see the pilot through the cockpit, or the Turn A Gundam where you can see the pilot in the cockpit. That's a little, that in those situations it's a little bit more important to have the seated pilot in there. 11? Yeah, 11. I just want a standard high-grade Hyzak revive, not the custom, not AOZ. Yeah, it would be nice to get an anime Hyzak, but if Bandai's decided to make the AOZ one, there's not a chance in hell they're making a new kit of the anime version. That's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. As far as they're concerned, the AOZ one's probably good enough. I really would like to see literally any new kit whatsoever of the Zaku 3, though. I don't care if it's Re 100, Full Mechanics, HGUC, I literally don't care. I just want a new Zaku 3. That is way too cool of a design to have one single high grade from 25 years ago. I would like the G-Savior novel to get adapted into an anime. The live-action movie is the only bad part. The other media is good. I keep hearing that about it, yeah. Apparently the game on the PS2 was decent. I feel bad for the people that probably worked on some of those supplementary pieces of media for the G-Savior movie, only for the movie to come out and just be an absolute shit show. Okay, here we go. Now, slide that in. Yeah, there's a little bit of a droop to it. The barrel kind of... It's a little hard to see on camera, but the barrel kind of slants down a little bit. I guess if you have him in a pose, it's not as obvious, right? If you have him like with like his gun kind of like holding it, standing up like this, it's okay. It can be a little noticeable depending on the angle. And weirdly enough, it's almost like this tip kind of tips back up. So it's like the barrel tips down where it meets the main body, and then the muzzle brake here sort of tips up at the end. It's a little bit strange. You get a G-frame Zaku 3, do you want it? Honestly, dude, I'd take it at this point. Apparently my friend's uni teacher worked on the CGI for the G-Savior film. No way. That's crazy. According to them, production was a hellscape. Yeah, I don't doubt it. My friend asked her about the experience. He didn't want to talk about it. Yeah. I don't blame him. Considering G-Savior was a Canadian project, it's amazing it was as good as it was. Yeah. Never let the Canadians cook, man. Not worth it. I guess they did make Beast Wars, though. That was okay. They get a pass for Beast Wars. That reminds me of the Amazing Rifle, the Camphor Amazing with modularity. It's a lot like the Camphor Amazing's rifle, because you can pop this off, you can pop scope off, and then you tip this back, you drop it out, and just like with the Camphor, you now have a... well, the magazine came out with that one. There we go. Now you have a smaller pistol. Now, it's not quite as cool as the Camphor pistol. It doesn't really turn to a full pistol. Like, I guess you could pull this off, but it's still... It looks a little funky. I think it would have been cooler if you could take this barrel off and turn it into a full pistol, but this, I can't see myself just using this rifle. I would definitely want to use it with all the extra attachments on it. Sorry, Beast Wars is ugly. Beast Wars was amazing. Like, the amount of innovation that it took to make a show that looked like that in the 90s was incredible. What if the dual gun, they do the Assault Shroud as a separate retail? No, I can't see them doing the Assault Shroud as a separate set. If they do a dual gun Assault Shroud, it's going to come with the base body. I like the idea of having the dual dagger be retail and having them be like a cross-compatible sort of thing, but I can't see them releasing the Assault Shroud on its own. Apparently, with Reboot, there's actually like a project that's going on right now to like digitally rescan, like remaster the original footage. Like a big fan project they're doing. All right, so let's start adding this guy's weapons to his body. The first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you how awkward it is to try and remove weapons from his hand, because you have to like pry apart every single finger basically and then pull it out. Got a nub that I forgot. There we go. So the pistols store in the side skirts here, they don't really tab in, they just kind of stuff in there. And it's not a smooth fit, it's a little awkward, you kind of have to just kind of wiggle it until it goes in. But it does eventually go in. I'm going to try and see if I can give him a fist again on this side without breaking any fingers. While it is kind of impressive to have individually jointed fingers on a model like this, like with the Gundam 3.0 hands, the novelty wears off pretty quick. And speaking of wearing off pretty quick, look at how much of the socket joint is wearing off on this ball right now. That is not supposed to be white. That is all plastic that I ground off the back of the socket. So, yeah. I don't know how long that's going to stay on for. That is running through its plastic real quick. I'm going to switch the shield to the left hand. Whole fig looking good. Is it stable and solid? It's stable and it's a little bit too solid. One of the problems I'm having with this kit is that some of these joints are just too tight. And they're so tight that it ends up just physically damaging the joint when you try to move it. Like with these hips here, they're just crazy tight. I don't know if you guys can hear it over the mic. You probably can't because I have a pretty aggressive noise gate, but these things just screech and squeak when you move them. It's really kind of unsettling. Let me just bend you a little bit. There you go. The shoulder is also getting a little loose, as I suspected. Beast Wars animation didn't age well, but had a great story. Oh yeah, the story in Beast Wars was pretty cool. Second fully animated TV show, CGI TV show ever. Yeah, that was groundbreaking. And then in the 2000s, they thought that CG was mature enough to use it in every anime ever. Even though it definitely was not, and holy crap. Some of those early 2000s shows that were like half CG, half 2D animated just did not age well. What the? How are you supposed to use this? There's a slot in the handle, right? You see the slot right here? What the hell are you supposed to do with that? There's a slot in the palm. It's a female-to-female connection. It doesn't work. Is there like a... There must be some sort of... Oh, I was just about to say there must be some sort of connecting tab, and yeah. There's actually you have to put a like connector tab piece between the slot in the hand and the slot in the rifle to get them to connect together. Real, yeah, Manpig, real China Plow moment. It's like the RG Unicorn, but worse. Yes, it's like the RG Unicorn, but a lot worse. Because a lot of these parts on the frame are metal, so it's like a metal on plastic connection where, yes, the peg's not going to shear off because it's metal, but it is going to stretch out the plastic socket it's attached to. It is going to grind the plastic off of that socket. So eventually, something's still going to give. Beast Machines was meh at best. I would not be offended if people just ignore it. Beast Machines was pretty poorly conceived, yeah. Apparently the designers that made the robot modes and the beast modes for the characters didn't even communicate with each other. They just have like one guy draw a gorilla and one guy draw a robot, and they just sort of like magically melt one to the other for the transformation in the show. So I need to figure out how to get this attachment peg in here. So it's H8 apparently. And that's the secret peg that you need. Oh! Okay, this is giving me those lovely PTSD flashbacks to the hands, because remember when we were building the hands and they had those stupid pins that you'd push into the finger joints to get them to hold together? And I noticed that it looked like there was a couple more of those pin pieces left over. Those pieces that were left over are actually the tabs that you're supposed to put in the hands. So let me cut off one of these, and I'll cut off both of them just so I don't have to leave them on the runner here, since the runner's completely empty except these two parts, so I don't want to accidentally throw one of them out. But this is how you attach the weapons to the hands. It's a tiny peg. It absolutely looks like it will break. But you basically just... you push this down in. Does it fit? Just barely. So now he's got this just tiny little peg sticking out of his hand. No way that's going to hold. Not even a little bit. Let's stick it in here anyways. Let's see how quickly this breaks. First, I'm going to try to just get it to tab on without having his fingers wrapped around it, because that's creating a whole extra layer of complexity. Bend his hand back a bit more. This is how I have to position the hand just so I can get a clean angle to push the peg in. Well, it was on there. Because it's such a wide slot, it kind of just pries the slot apart like this, and since the sides are so thin, it doesn't actually hold it on, and it just kind of springs it off. The peg, I'm pretty sure, is literally doing less than if I just had him wrap the fingers around it normally. This is actually useless. In fact, it might be stuck inside of him now. I think I'm going to have to use pliers to pull this out. Are there two H-runners? No, there are not. Thankfully, there's only one. Oh my god, are you serious? The Beast Machine's writers were explicitly told not to watch Beast Wars. That's wild. Hang on, where's my pliers? Here they are. Okay. Are you kidding me? You're kidding. Come on. Okay. I'm not putting that back in. I almost had to break something to get that out. This man is going to be relying on finger grip and finger grip alone. MCU writer moment, don't read the comics. Man, I'll never understand why people are proud of doing that. It just comes off as like such a massive ego thing, like, oh, I'm such a special, super talented writer that I'm just going to ignore everything about this series that I'm working on because I want to make my version of this, because it's about me. It's about my version of this character. It's me. I'm such a good writer, unlike all those old people that made these comics for 100 years or 80 years. I'm such a better writer than them, so I'm going to make my own version of it, and I don't even care about their version. God, it's such a ego move. I hate it. I hate it any time that I hear that, like, oh, I'm doing my version of the character. Like, dude, you're being hired to make the character. Make the damn character. Like the Zeta 2.0, it's all in the fingers. Yeah, pretty much. At least the fingers are stronger on this, though. Like, the fingers here are actually pretty alright. Like, this is doing an okay job of holding it. Now, what isn't doing an okay job... Oh, never mind. I was going to say the shoulder The shoulder is struggling a little bit, but it's like it's right on the edge. The shoulders on this kit are right on the edge of being loose. They are like just about a half micron away from being too loose to hold up the gun, but they can just barely do it. Let me get him into a little bit more of a flattering pose. Let me see if I can do that without breaking something. You gotta grab his elbow at both ends in order to twist it, because, oh, there goes his hand, hang on. Let me shove the fingers back around here. Yeah, this guy's a balancer. This is one where you just kind of, you rest the gun on the ground and you sort of make it look like it's in his hand and you just wrap his fingers around it. There. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab my phone and get a couple shots of him for the video. I don't know how much I'll want to pose him around. They're so good they have to go on strike to get more money. And also demand that they wasn't like part of like the union demands that they needed to have like 12 writers on each show or something ridiculous like that. Like, I can't believe they think that, I still can't believe that they think that that's actually going to make the show better if they have more people working on it. I've never seen a show with more than 4 writing credits that wasn't just absolute garbage. I think Pacific Rim Uprising had something like 5 different writers credited on it. Alright, so that's technically it for the sniper form. The sniper form is just what we have here with the 1 shield. And then the gun. It's not to make it better, it's to get people paid for 0 work. Yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna just lie him down so he doesn't fall on the keyboard or break himself or something else around him. Because the problem is that he's heavy. He's really heavy, so if he falls, he breaks stuff. It's not to make it better, so people get paid for 0 work. Yeah, I was gonna elaborate on that, but then this guy fell and I have to adjust him now, but there we go. Okay, so the sniper form here is technically done, right? The first version of this kit that we all saw and fell in love with, it's this right here. You've got the 1 shield and you've got the big rifle. And it's pretty cool. From a visual standpoint, I really like this model. The build experience is not bad. But the finished kit, it's got some joint issues, it's got some joints that are too tight, it's got some joints that are too loose, and because it has the metal frame, I love the feel. I really do. I love the feel of the metal frame. I love the look of the metallic pieces on the joints. It's a beautiful looking model in that regard. But metal joints with plastic parts attached to them just don't work. You end up with the metal grinding down the plastic, and you either have joints that are way too tight or way too loose. And unfortunately, this guy has both at the same time. And then, of course, there's the whole situation with the little pegs that are supposed to go in the hands. These things are going to snap. These things are going to break. They don't even properly adhere to these slots here, so they actually don't really help much at all. It's a shame because this figure started so well and now looks so amateur, which it kind of is. It's such a shame because genuinely, I can understand why they released it in this state. Because if I was a relatively new company and I got my first product to this level, I would probably be satisfied enough to ship it. But there is so much more polish that needed to be done to it. And design-wise, it's like a 10 out of 10. I love the look of this kit. I want to see more Chinese models that look like this. I'm so over the hyper-designed Wing Zero EW Strike Freedom Orgy Offspring. I'm so over that. I don't want to see that again. I like this. I like this a lot. and I want to commend them on doing it, but it just needed a little more time in the oven. I do like the plastic though. The plastic material itself is very good. The built-in matte finish is very nice. It's just that these are not Bandai engineers. These are not Bandai engineers, and it just needs a little more time. It's like a Toy World Transformers figure. It looks amazing, kind of mediocre. I am not nearly well enough versed on the many third-party Transformers companies to comment on that, but it genuinely doesn't feel bad in hand. Like, the actual hand feel of this is kind of amazing because it's so heavy. But a lot of it's the joints, right? This shoulder is really loose. This elbow is really tight. In fact, in combination, it's basically impossible to bend the elbow without also grabbing it at the bicep and twisting it right at the joint. Because if you don't do that, you're actually not going to be able to bend it. Then there's the fingers, where they mostly bend fine, but then the first joint here at the knuckle is really, really stiff, and you have to push on it scarily hard to get it to bend. And then down here at the hips, you have this hip, which now is starting to bend okay, which concerns me, because a few days ago, this one was just as stiff as the left leg, but now it bends fine, so who knows how long these hips are going to hold up if they're loosening up that quickly. The thigh swivel's fine, the knee is fine. Those bend with the level of tension that I would hope to feel from a standard master grade kit joint. But then on this side, she squeaks. She squeaks so hard. And I could put a little bit of oil or something in there to try and loosen it up, but I don't want to do that because, again, the right-hand side used to sound like that, now it doesn't, and I'm sure those joints are going to loosen up over time because of that. Man, I don't even want to say it's a shame, because there's still stuff that I like about this kit. I'm genuinely glad I built it, I'm glad it exists, and I really want to see whatever the next thing is that Special Forces Industry makes, but man, this isn't it. Why does the blue plastic, especially in the chest, feel so different? The plastic feels different on this because it has a built-in matte finish, as in there's no coating on this plastic, but the plastic itself, the surface of the molds, they probably did some sort of etching on because it has a little bit of a rough texture. Like if I rub my fingernail on this, it has a scratchy sound, and that gives it like a built-in matte finish, and that's why the blue plastic has that look. Alright, so the sniper mode, it's okay. This is probably how I'm going to end up displaying mine. I might just have him like stand up the rifle like this, AOZ. Was it Advance of Zeta? There's some like mobile suit that has like a big gun like this where the classic pose is him just kind of hanging onto it like this. Maybe there were two runners for the joints and you used the wrong one. No, the joints were a pre-assembled frame. The whole frame for this thing was like a high-res model. And that unfortunately means that you have no real way to control the tightness of the joints yourself. It just is how it is from the factory. Hizanthole 2 Raw. Yeah, so you can do the Hizanthole 2 Raw pose with this thing, and that's probably how I'm going to have mine displayed. I'm going to go ahead and set him up over here in the corner where you guys can't see him at the moment, just so he's out of the way, and we're going to start working on the parts for the other form. I'm going to toss these little hand connectors back in the box so I don't lose them. And we're going to start building the alternate head that has the more Gundam-style V-fin. The joints for a gimmick? They are. They really are. Unfortunately, I can see why they're a gimmick. They feel cool. The weight is very nice. The look of the metal with the anodized like gunmetal color to it, gorgeous. Love it. But from an actual physical functionality standpoint, it is a detriment to the kit's quality. Metal joints are cope for not being able to make good, reliable plastic joints. I mean, I've seen some models where they do both a metal joint version and a plastic joint version, and anytime I see one of those, I'm like, man, I don't know if they designed this for metal joints and then they made a plastic version, or they designed it for plastic joints and then made a metal version. Because designing for those two materials is very different, And a kit that's specifically designed for one is probably not going to work out if you randomly switch the materials to the other. Okay. Let's build the alternate head. Starting with the B runner. Not only do I have to find the B runner, I also have to make sure I'm not using the wrong B runner. B, C, here's the B runner. Okay, very few pieces left, just a couple. That's the thing with this kit, isn't it? Undocumented duplicates? Yes, it is. And I don't mind having alternate parts. I just like being told in the manual that they exist, so I know to look out for them. This company needs the equivalent of... Is that an empty runner? Yes, it is. They need the equivalent of that symbol that Bandai used in their manuals, where it's like the triangle and the circle with like a slash between them that they use to indicate option parts. They need their own equivalent to that, because it's not clear in the manuals. They never specify when there's different parts you can choose between. M... Oh! Oh, metallic parts for the eyes. Right, okay. That'll be cool. F-17. The white runner. Nope, not a white runner. F. Watch me find 3 different F runners that are all different colors somehow. I'm gonna need that. I might as well dig through here to make sure there's no parts in here. I'll smell. Oh, there's that. That'll probably be useful eventually. F runner. Oh, nope, that's the D runner, but I am gonna need that because that's got the... Huh. Well, that's odd. The runner, the part of the runner that has the gold plating on it is separated off. Like, see how there's like little notches in the gates right around it? This part's gated off. But it's not gated off in a way that you would be able to isolate this piece, because the piece of the runner that these parts are attached to isn't gated off. You see what I'm saying? Like, on a Bandai kit, they would cut it like here and here and here, so this whole chunk would come off. But they cut this outer frame off, and then they also cut it off here. So if you pull this outer part off, this is still here. So I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with this. I mean, I can pry this off right here, and I have my little separate gold pieces, but it seems very not thought out in that regard. Oh well. I'll just leave those there for now. Get the runner off the table so I can see things more clearly. Oh, shut up. Stupid Windows notifications. I don't think you can hear those on stream, fortunately. L runner? No. N runner. N runner. M runner. There's entire letters that I'm not even sure exist. Oh, wait. Is it this? No, that's just that's a P runner. Okay, we're finding all sorts of runners except for the one letter that I'm looking for. Okay, I'm gonna start alphabetizing these now. So here's the A runner. Okay. Oh, there's F. Found it. Never mind. Alphabetizing worked a lot more quickly than I thought it would. So all of these parts are for the head. Are you gonna stream any of the Freedom Kit builds? Absolutely. At least the Rising Freedom and Immortal Justice, probably the others as well. My next stream I'm planning on, though, is going to be the Calibarn. Although my pre-order for the duel is going to be coming in soon. And Luna Maria, she's definitely going to take priority. I've never pre-ordered a kit that fast before. Is that everything? Yes, it is. Okay. Let me just drag these down here so they're no longer right in the middle. I don't know if I want... Dude, you want Luna. She looks so good. You definitely want Luna. Good design, but the character means nothing. It's a great looking kit, though. I think I want different waifus. I mean, I'd love it if they did a Haman Karn, but I don't know if that one's going to be happening for a while. Haman Karn would be really good. Murray would be really good. They're probably going to do Mir at some point. We all know why you pre-ordered that Luna Fest. Yeah, it's a great kit. It's a great kit. Luna's not the worst seed girl, but Freedom really saves her. Yeah, I liked her a lot in Freedom. Although this is the... I think it's the Destiny version of her, right? Because she's got a different flight suit in Freedom. Yeah, Haman would be so cool. There's actually a third-party figure of her that looks pretty decent. It's in like her classic black dress outfit, but I think it's like a generic doll body or something that they basically just put a Haman Karn cosplay over because it's kind of at a weird scale. This is the Destiny version. Yeah, that's what I thought. Don't use the great kid excuse. You want the people... There is absolutely nothing remarkable about her feet. They're just normal-ass shoes. Now, if you want some real cursed foot shit, there is the McFarlane Toys Spawn line had like a set of anniversary figures they did recently. And one of the sets was a figure of the original Spawn design that Todd McFarlane drew up in his notebook when he was like 14. And it's like a figure based off that original concept art. And a figure of Todd McFarlane himself. And for some reason... someone at McFarlane Toys, presumably the man himself, decided that it would be very important that the Todd McFarlane action figure comes with optional bare feet. I don't know why, but they were like, hey, I'm making an action figure of my boss, and I'm giving him just the most, like, detailed bare feet I possibly can. I'm gonna stay up all night sculpting those feet, and... It's just weird, man. I don't get it. I don't get why it comes with bare feet. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe, like, it's some in-joke that, like, Todd McFarlane walks around barefoot, but I don't know, man. It's just weird. It is a generic figure body. I've seen it. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what it looked like. And her squishy... Yeah, the squishy torso is nice. I do quite like that. That was a good move on their part. And you know that the aftermarket people are gonna find a way to make some alternate inserts for that part of her body. Yeah, the parts for the metallic eyes look really good. Let me get a little shot of that. There we go. They really... You can't quite see it in these lighting, but they really pop. What do you miss for your washing dishes? Oh, just, me talking about the weirdly detailed bare feet that come with a McFarlane action figure. There's a figure of Todd McFarlane, the guy who made McFarlane Toys, and his action figure has optional bare feet part. So some employee of McFarlane Toys had to sculpt their boss's feet. Oh, that's not the piece that plugs into. It goes in the lower face. Hang on. Hang on, I messed that up. You got me distracted with the feet. And Luna Maria's torso. Oh yeah, we talked about that too, but I'm sure, MJ, you're already familiar with the squishy torso on the Luna Maria figure. No. Did I clean these? I guess I did. Okay. I'll take it. So... Okay. Okay, I don't think I actually need these side earpieces for this head. Okay. Okay. So these two go in. How are you even supposed to see his eyes to it there? I wonder what large-scale HGs they're thinking about, considering the Destroy was probably the biggest reasonable one. I mean, Queen Mansa's a lot more on the table now than it used to be. I know that's one a lot of people have been asking for, and it's a lot more possible now. I really hope there's not a piece that I'm missing in the middle here, because I'm never getting these two pieces apart again. Give her a squeak. Alright. Time to get the nuclear option again. Alpha Zero, same size as the Neo Zeon. I think the Alpha Zero's... I think it might be a little smaller than the Neo Zeon. I remember it not being that big in Char's counterattack, or at least not looking that big. Bagan gear appeared in Build Fighters but doesn't have an actual kit. It's not fair. I have no idea what that is, and I've seen Build Fighters. Which probably answers your question as to why it doesn't have a kit. Regenerate Gundam would be kind of cool. It's a weird one because it looks like it should be a Aegis retool, but it actually shares basically nothing with the Aegis outside of general design concept. Bottom of the Neo Zeons, bottom of the Alpha Zero. Yeah, they have the same thrusters. But I think overall the Alpha Zero is a little smaller. The giant dragon mobile armor from Age. Okay, I think I vaguely remember that. I still don't think that has even a slight chance of getting a kit. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Now we need the tiny little runner. Even though there's all these green parts on this runner, they decided that these two specific ones needed their own runner. Yeah, well, I deserve a big titty anime waifu, man, pig, but we don't always get what we deserve. Masami Obari expressed his support for the Queen Mantha. Yes, he did. He tweeted about that. And he shared his artwork that he did of it for the Gundam Perfect file. I saw a while back the designer who makes some of the sort of odd mobile... Best way I can describe him is he's like the weird mobile suit guy. He did the Vagon suits from Age. He did like the Zanscare Empire suits from Victory Gundam. He does like a lot of weird stuff like that. He showed some designs for some concepts that he never ended up using for Build Fighters, and apparently at some point there was going to be a Build Fighters kit that was based off a one of the enemy suits from Victory Gundam. And then there was one that was like this F-91 Gundam Javelin fusion. Ishigaki. Yeah, Ishigaki. He's the weird mobile suit guy. That was a pretty neat find. Javelin, yep. We could have gotten a Build Fighters Javelin. I have no idea why the head sensors are on this separate specific runner when every other green part is on a different runner. As fan of 90s Mecha, the fact that Bandai hates making kits of 90s Gundams makes me actually hurt. I mean, they're getting better. They finally gave us the Wing Gundams. They're giving us G Gundam now. They're very gradually moving into the 90s now. They've gotten over their trauma of that era selling poorly, and they're starting to heal. Here's some of the Gundam X stuff too, yeah. Okay, now we need the gold horn. I do find it commendable how commonly these Chinese kits seem to include like premium features with their models. Like they'll do like metallic paint on the parts. They'll give you like an action base. They'll have LEDs. They'll have metal parts. They do all these things that Bandai considers premium, but they just do them as part of the base model just because they can. It does give them a much higher quality feel, even if the overall like quality of everything as a whole is not great. The fact that they're willing to give you stuff that Bandai never would at this price range is kind of commendable. Makes you wonder how much of that stuff isn't actually a premium cost for Bandai and they just sell it as a premium upsell. Because like you know they're overcharging for anything that has LEDs. They have more budget efficiency than Bandai, yeah. New G Gundam Gunpla speculation, RG Master. Oh yeah, RG Master definitely is possible. RG Master, RG Shining are pretty likely. Now, one thing that I've always wanted to see from Bandai would be a Master Grade Nobel Gundam, just because I think that it's a cool design and I'd like to see like a bigger, better kit of it, but I don't know if I could necessarily see them doing a redo of the Nobel Gundam, even with them revisiting G Gundam right now, unless like G Gundam as a whole gets really popular. And speaking of holes, the holes for this head are just absolutely misshapen. I literally can't get either fin into either side because the holes look like this. The molding is so wobbly on them. Hold still. Look at that. Both of these holes are supposed to be rectangles, but there's so much flashing on them that I can't fit anything inside of them. Bandai overcharges everything. I think Bandai's incompetent in LED and water slide teams. Yeah, LEDs, they charge way more than they should for them, and for the water slides, those do not need to be like a premium upsell. Especially when you look at companies like Kotobuki and they pretty much always include water slides with their base kits. I have to be careful because I don't want to scrape out too much because then it won't stay in place, but I want to get, there we go, enough out of the hole that I can actually push the fin in. How shitty Bandai's water slides are. I mean, they don't seem too bad to me. From the one to... Wait a minute. Actually, hang on. Have I ever even used Bandai water slides? I don't think I have. I just realized I don't think I've ever used the water slides on a Bandai kit. I've used water slides on Koto kits before. I don't think I've ever water slid a Bandai kit. So I have actually no idea what the quality of their water slides are like. I really can't comment on that. You're about to in Lunamaria. Good luck. I hate them. We'll see. Do you like water slides in general or specifically Bandai's? It is so weird that they decided that just half her faces are going to have water slides for the face printing. A1. That's going to be... Oh, it's the red piece. Okay, that makes sense, because the forehead gem, of course. They're doing classic Gundam colors. I've only experienced Bandai's, hated the experience. I do like them, but I don't like paying extra. Yeah, they should... There's a lot of Bandai kits that should just have water slides by default. Don't remind me the water slides in the RG Team Bright Gundam were a nightmare, probably because I don't have a softener, but the color correcting ones were a pain to apply. Color correcting water slides? Are you kidding me? That's stupid. Water slides should be for like little details. Little text lettering, symbols, markings. That's just cheesy to use them for full color separation like that. They refuse to stick long after drying. Man, I'm so bummed because one of my frame arms girls had this really cool decal on her like forehead visor, and one time when I was cleaning it with a can of compressed air, I blasted it directly on her face, and it just fucking evaporated the decal. I don't mean it blew it off, I mean it disintegrated. It broke into like 20 or 30 pieces and just turned into dust in the air. I was so disappointed. I haven't any issues with them falling directly off, though. That could be like I use Mark Setter and Mark Softener, though, so that could be alleviating the issue. I only said Nobel Gundam because I want a Figma Alenbi for obvious reasons. I mean, I'd rather see Figma Rain. Like, honestly, outside of Lunamaria is a big one, Hamon's a big one, Murray's a big one. Another really big, like, easy seller female character they could do as a figurized standard is Rain with the mobile trace system suit. Like, that thing is going to sell like crazy. Like, come on, who would not buy that? People can do so much stuff with that kit. Bro, it literally got Thanos snapped, yes. It evaporated into dust. Is that the right way? No. Yes, it is. I just got to make it fit harder. Remember, if you're ever putting together a model and the parts aren't going together, it just means you need to push harder. And if they're still not going together, it just means you're not pushing hard enough. You know? As much as I like the sniper head, this is actually a really cool head sculpt. As far as like Gundam adjacent not Gundams go, I really like how this one looks. It looks like a Seed Gundam. Something you'd see in a Stray manga or an Eclipse. Okay, but ID Monster, even if you don't like Rain, you still have the body, right? So you can head swap it with whatever figures you want. You can make a mobile trace system Soletta. You can make a mobile trace system Lunamaria. You could do it with whatever characters you like. The possibilities are endless. They all use the same neck joint. Faceplate's very upscaled Kasi Gundam. I can kind of see that. These are getting a little loose. I'm gonna have to glue them. I might have widened the holes too much. Okay, now we're building the Pale Rider boosters for the legs. Bubble tray suit with full squishy material. That would be a lot of soft PVC to use for a single model. They could do the You could probably do the chest without compromising the rest of the joints. Because if you do the thighs, the legs kind of because the legs are all one section-ish, it would be kind of... No, because if you did squishy thighs, you wouldn't be able to have a thigh cut for rotation, so that would compromise articulation. You could do a squishy belly, but she's not really a belly character, so that wouldn't make sense. I think you'd have to go with the chest. I think the chest would be the logical place to use the squish material. Would want a trace suit Dagger L. I don't know, maybe you can put Gundam heads on figurized models. Man, I still can't believe that like Avatar Fumina model that had the G-line armor really was a precursor to the G-line. I remember seeing that thing and going, oh, that's a fun reference to a kit they'll never make, but there's no way. And like I saw people like coping over like, oh yeah, this totally means they're gonna make a G-line. And I was like, there's no way. There is no way that this means we're getting a high-grade G-line. And then we got a fucking high-grade G-line like 4 months after that kit came out. So that was pretty wild. That was the foreshadowing that I never thought would have actually been foreshadowing. Do the horse in mobile trace suit. Honestly, it would be cool for them to do a figurized standard horse. Just to have like a horse for your 1/12 figures. I know Figma's done a couple, but it'd be cool to have a buildable one. Speaking of buildable horses, I really want to get that one centaur girl from Arcanadia. And no, it's not because she has twice as many feet as a standard girl, it's because it's just a really cool looking kit. You got the upper body of a human, you've got the horse body. It's a really unique body construction, and there's not a lot of other kits that are designed like that, so I'd really like to build it. It's a bit more expensive than the other Mecha Musume models, but it's not like super crazy expensive, especially considering she's an entire horse. We got a G-line before the 7th Gundam. Yes, we did. Although we do have that lovely old full armor 7th kit, which is going to look great next to the G-line. That's actually, yeah, I need to pre-order a G-line at some point. It's one of those kits that I always put off ordering because I know they're going to just reprint that thing into oblivion. So I'm not in really a huge rush to get it, but I really should pre-order one at some point. Do you ever wonder where the milk comes from in a centaur? I mean, my assumption anatomically has always been with centaurs that they contain a full set of whatever organs belong in that part of the body. So they have 2 hearts, they have 2 lungs, or 2 sets of lungs. Like they have a full set of organs for each part of their body, which would include like mammary glands for both the human torso and the horse torso. So it would come out of both sections. That's my understanding of centaur anatomy. I have the FA7 that's solid, but it's a handful of issues that might be a deal breaker. See, I absolutely love the Full Armor 7th design to death, so that kit could have been 1/5 as good as it is, and I still would have adored it. So I can very easily look past the flaws on that model. It may make me biased, but I don't care. I still love that kit. It looks so good with some of those other Tactical Federation suits, though, like the GM Spartan. So you're saying it's possible to have a female centaur with a male horse body? You mean like a Futanari? Yeah. Yeah, you could. You absolutely could. Although the better no, I was going to ask another really cursed question, but because the body cuts off at the waistline, so I don't think that would be a problem. I have seen some centaurs with real questionable anatomy on the internet before. I also saw, and I know this is going to make it sound like I'm obsessed with centaurs, but I promise I'm not. This isn't like some weird thing I'm into. But I did find this one centaur character that I think was from like a mobile game or something, where she was like a centaur, but her body was fully human. So it basically like, she had like human body, human legs, and then like another human torso with legs that was like bent in half and kind of like stuck to her butt. So she had the body silhouette of a centaur, but her entire body was made out of like human flesh. It was really, really cursed looking, but it was also kind of interesting at the same time. FA 7th is basically the same quality of your average HD Hazel, which is a good standard. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. The side skirts being unpainted and visibly hollow is a huge blight. I mean, let me take a look at mine. Yeah, it doesn't bother me in the least. I still love that thing. That is my boy, and I will defend him. I will defend him to death. That is my boy right there. Kinda human centipede, sort of. I'll see if I can find a picture of her. And also I'll need to check and make sure the picture is something I can show on stream, but I'm pretty sure it is. I have it saved somewhere, I think. My downloads folder. God, I need to clean this up. There's so much random bullshit in here. Meme clips, photos of cats. Assets for videos. Do I not have it? I thought I kept that. Huh. Maybe it's in this folder. Is it in this one, maybe? No. This is my weird cursed shit post folder, and I don't see it yet. Did I really not say? I thought for sure I saved a photo of that. There's another centaur from Nuke Matrix you can build. There's a centaur girl motorbike. I saw that one. That one looks really cool. I really want to build that Nuke Matrix kit. That's the mermaid. I'd love that model. First of all, it reminds me of that one mermaid girl from Buso Shinki, which I love. Buso Shinki is, I don't talk about it much, but that was kind of like, it's a series that's near and dear to my heart because Buso Shinki was my introduction to the world of Japanese import figures. And that's when I learned that there were companies in Japan that made action figures that were actually really cool. They had articulation, they had optional hands, alternate face places with different expressions, tons of weapons. I didn't know you could get all that with an action figure back in 2010. So when I discovered those, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. I can't believe these exist. And that kind of got me down the whole rabbit hole of all these crazy, cool, like awesome import figures from Japan. So the fact that she reminds me of Buso Shinki is a big plus, but it's also just a really cool design because basically she's like a mecha mermaid kind of, but the mermaid lower half can come off and it basically transforms into like one of those like diver propulsion things, you know, like the like turbine machine that they kind of hold on to and it like pulls them through the water. It basically turns into one of those. So it's a really cool set and one that I definitely want to build at some point. Why do I even have a cursed folder in the first place? Because there's always cursed stuff on the internet and some of it's worth saving. But there's like gifs of Ultraman doing weird stuff or some really cursed robot maid some guy made. You got Japanese people on a game show that don't know how to spell. Some old guy. Hang on. Okay, it's not in this folder either. I'm kind of actually frustrated now because I don't remember what the name of the game or character was, but I was almost certain I had a photo of it somewhere. I remember Jeremy Clarkson bit. I went on the internet. Dude, you don't want to know the stuff that I find when I go on the internet. Oh, wow. Hang on. I just got hit by a really cursed image that I'm not gonna show it on stream, even though it's completely, it's probably the worst. It's like the most explicit, non-explicit image I've ever seen on the internet, and that's the best way I can describe it, and I hate everything about it. But I'm not showing it on stream. I just hate myself for reminding myself that it exists. That was unfortunate. My day has been ruined. My day has been ruined. Anyways, I'm gonna stop looking for it now and just get back to the stream because I don't think I have it saved anymore, which is really unfortunate because it was quite the design. Let me no, I don't even remember where I first found it, but it wasn't from like one of the big mobile games like Blue Archive or Azure Lane or something like that. It was from some like Chinese only literal Who browser game, and one of their characters was like a centaur knight, and she had like the knight armor. And it was like a form change, so she had her human knight form, and then she had like her other torso coming out of her butt with a second set of legs form. And I don't remember what she was called. I don't remember what the game was called, but I hope someday I can find it again and share it with you guys, because that was a design that deserves to be seen. Also, these insert bits just do not stay in at all, so hopefully something else. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there's extra pieces that attach onto them. Okay, so they're not just going to be hanging on like that. There's extra vent inserts that go inside of them, so I'm going to trim those out right now. Okay, so these pieces will hold the... Oh, never mind. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. So, you notice how kind of bland these look, where like it's just these gray vents? That's because I forgot that that's the runner that also has optional yellow parts. We're going to trim those out and replace them because the all-gray vents look really ugly. Man, even this far into the build, I'm still making the same mistakes. Why the hell is it that every time I mention something like wildly cursed or messed up, why is it that Dipper always knows what it's called? Anytime I mention anything, he's either like, oh yeah, I've heard of that before, or if I haven't heard of it, or if I'm not familiar, he just immediately knows what it is every time. I feel like 2S streaming is a huge gamble for him because every time he does, he either outs another one of his fetishes or says something insanely suspect, ruining his normal guy image. Oh, I don't... Do I have a normal guy image? I guess I do. Okay, yeah, I should probably try to maintain that, but... I promise, this isn't like fetish interest, I just genuinely find this character design interesting. But yes, Dipper is that guy where you, like, casually mention a hentai that you might have seen 10 years ago, and he knows, like, the exact minute in the exact episode where it happened, and also the name of the director, and also the name of the studio that made it. Oh, hang on. You know what? Now that I have the name, I might actually be able to find her. So, Book of Yog, Centaur Minerva. Book of Yog Minerva. I don't think the design itself was particularly revealing or anything. She just has a unique body shape. Here we go. This is the picture. Let me save this and then add it to the stream. All right, this is about to get real cursed, so brace yourselves, guys. Let me add. How do I just add an image? Image. Here we go. We're going to add this. Browse. Let me pull this from my downloads. There. This is the centaur character I was talking. Do you see what I meant now? Do you understand what I was going for? Because, like, she's kind of a centaur, but she's also made out of human. She's like a human centaur. The stream instantly gets taken down by YouTube. Collaboration works. Man, I still to this day don't know if collaboration works with a single studio or if that's just a catch-all term that they use to refer to things that were made by multiple studios. There's no way all the shows were made by that one company, right? It's like if the Uma Musume characters had 4 legs. Kind of, yeah. She's got horse ears and the unicorn horn. It really is isn't a quality twist stream without some curse content. I cut my arm off if she sneezed in a week ago. Right? Like, it's a compelling design. Like, I don't even mean that in like a, oh yeah, I'm here for the plot. Like, this is, I genuinely find this to be an interesting character design, in addition to the obvious appeal. Centaur looks like what you would get if you prompted a centaur girl into an AI. It literally is. This is exactly what I would expect if I typed in, like, centaur girl into Stable Diffusion. I'm so glad there's people in chat that validate my extremely questionable taste in women. Anyways, I'm not gonna subject you to any more centaur. I'll leave her off screen for now. Wait, so how am I supposed to get this out? I think this part might actually be stuck in there because there's no way for me to really pull it out. And there's no... In order to get it out from the back, I'd have to, like, drill a hole and push something through, and I don't have a drill bit. Want a centaur figure? Try finding centaur elf dawn vary 1/6. Do I need an incognito tab for this? I'm gonna do it anyways. Finding centaur elf dawn vary 1/6. Finding centaur elf dawn vary 1/6. Oh wow, it's literally the exact same thing. It is an action figure of this exact design. Okay, not the exact character, but the same design concept where it's the human centaur. Hold on. I know I said I wasn't going to show you the cursed images anymore, but I've actually I gotta show this. It's on HOJ. I'm sure I can show it. Actually, no, that's not true. There's a lot of stuff on HOJ I can't show on stream, but this item is okay. This item I can show on stream just fine, so... I'm gonna have so many stream sources on OBS that are just gonna be like random centaur images now. Other centaur. Okay. Browse for file. Here it is. This is a, like, looks like a 1/12 scale, or 1/6 scale maybe, like kind of like soft silicone body figure of that exact style of centaur. So I could actually buy a figure of that style of character if I wanted to. It's not another Jizzle Jizzin situation where they stay as a guest host for the rest of the stream. Oh, okay. I'm so glad I made the decision to not read Euronymous' comment out loud, and I'm glad I didn't, but... Man, this is... I don't want to say I like this, but I kind of find it interesting, right? The silicone body is the most sus part. I mean, they do that a lot with 1/6 scale figures. It means that they don't have visible joints. You can articulate, there's like a metal frame inside a silicone body, and that way you can bend the joints without having visible joints, because a lot of the a lot of the 1/6 scale collectors just don't like seeing joints on their figures, so they make them with a silicone body. There's nothing weird about it. I think we really need to make the I went on the internet bit in every stream. Yeah, this is our I went on the internet bit for today's stream. Jamatov, Hyman, Quattro Vagina. Jero Kuch. I'm sorry, that one, I know we said it earlier to stream, but that one still hit me like a truck. Jero Kuch. Meme. Or Chisel Jizzin. The ultimate smasher pass. Man, never let Tomino name your characters. And the worst part is, I don't even think all of those are Tomino names. Some of those names were created by a person who was not Tomino. That's the scary part. If it was just Tomino, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's just how the guy is. But man, not all of these are him. Some of these were made by other writers. Uranus. Jizzin might be up there. I hope he's not Jizzin up there. Where's the... We got so distracted that I'm losing track of parts now. I don't remember where I put the runner that has the other event pieces. Are they separated? No. Not in the box. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this stupid centaur picture. There we go. And Full Frontal, yeah, Full Frontal was not a Tomino name. A completely normal Gundam writer came up with that and thought it sounded fine. These Japanese writers need to have just like a token American that they have hired on to just tell them when they come up with something that sounds really stupid in English. Like, what do you mean I can't call my character Dick Ballsman? That's a perfectly fine, cool-sounding American name. And by get rid of, he means he saved it to my... Oh, dude, I saved it to my hard drive before I even added it to OBS. It's already on my computer forever. And I think I have actually looked at that figure before, and I think the only reason I didn't get it was because it was like $400 or something ridiculous like that. Way past the price range that I would consider paying for something like that. Not that it's like a bad quality figure, it's just outside the price range that I would really pay for an action figure. The innovate names bring stability, revive revival. Revive revival, yep. Healing care, beside pain from the manga. Jizzin is like a middle-aged dude and that's better than old. I'm in meme, trauma dumping vagina. Random philosophical bullshit from Funnel are literally fucking insane, Gerald. One day there will be a character named Jack Chipotle, Wendy Chipotle, Jack McDonald. Saved on your computer for research. Oh yeah. Purely saved on my computer for... only because I needed it for OBS and not for any other reason. Spoilers for 00. Oh yeah, I guess not all of those characters' identities were confirmed from the beginning to be innovators in 00. Still need that Power Princess figure reprint. Power Princess. Power Princess. Why does that sound familiar? And have I outed myself for something weird by recognizing that name? Because anytime I recognize something that Dipper mentions offhand, unprompted, it genuinely fills me with concern because I'm like, wait, what is this thing that I've just been reminded of? Oh, Marvel Legends. Okay, yeah, the totally not Wonder Woman. The we have Wonder Woman at home. I'm glad the other 32,785,000 subs you have don't watch your stream. Yeah, thankfully there's only like 20 people that actually watch these streams, so especially stuff that I mentioned like 2.5 hours in, none of this will ever end up anywhere else on the internet. Thankfully no one clips these, so I should be safe. Like, part of the reason I've been talking so much is I'm trying to put off avoiding the fact that I genuinely cannot get this vent back out, so I think he might actually be stuck with a gray vent on this side. Because I can't grab it with pliers because these two pieces are like flat up against each other. Maybe I can. And there's no way to push it from the back unless I drill a hole in it. But I don't have a drill bit. But I have to use like a hole punch or something. MJ should take clips from your streams and use them as... Oh god, I hope not. I dread the day where I'm just wandering through YouTube and I get recommended by the algorithm a clip from one of my own streams that someone made. Okay, so... I think I'm screwed. Oh wait, yeah, I'm double screwed. Because I already put these ones in with the yellow piece. And I've already put this one with the gray. So because I can't remove any of these 3 vents, I'm literally forced to have it be asymmetrical now. Even regardless of if I preferred the gray or the yellow, they are now permanently asymmetrical. Okay, what do I have that's close to a drill bit? I've got a saw. That's not going to work. I've got like a hole punch tool. That might work. I don't know if I could get a hole in this without completely destroying it, though. And the problem is it's encased in both... It's got plastic wrapped around the outside, but it's also got a peg on the inside, so whether I heat it or cool it, I don't think that would make it come out easier, because it would either press it against the outside or squeeze it around the peg. I was about to clip his disbelief of the Zagok with Cavalier being named the Amazing. Yeah, I still can't get over that. Like, it's one of the... It was already one of the stupidest name prefixes in Gundam when they used it for build fighters. But then Fukada was just like, hey, how about we do it again? And we make it a Kamen Rider reference, because why not? And the worst part of all, it's for the same mobile suit. We already had an Amazing Zagok in build fighters. They were just like, hey, let's do it again. I think my best bet... here's how I think I can do this. If I take a piece of runner or a scrap piece of plastic and I plastic cement it to this part, I can use it as a lever, a pull tab, and pull the part out. I'm going to try doing that right now. So I'm going to look for a flat piece of plastic. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to saw off the name tag from this runner, and I'm going to use that name tag. I'm going to cement it on, and then once it cures, I'll be able to use it to pull out the piece. This saw sucks so bad. Okay, I'm not going to use the saw, I'm going to use my other nippers. I'm going to grab my 3D printing nippers, since I don't care if I destroy these, since they were like $1 on eBay. And I'm just going to trim away at this. There. In 10 years, when MJ does the redo review of the Barbatoris, this stream is going to help so much. Okay. So there's the... Now I have a mystery L runner, and I'll probably need parts off of this, and I'll be looking for it for like an hour, because I trimmed the stupid tab off it. Okay, so... There's nowhere really unsightly that I can put this. Or rather, like, nowhere that it's going to be, like, inconspicuous. Oh, wait, yes, I can. I can put it on the underside of the top here. No one's ever going to see. Imagine if I somehow mess up doing this and I end up cementing the piece permanently in instead. There's a real possibility I might do that. Okay, there's a little bit of cement on the part now. Now, I'm going to put a little cement on here. Okay. And I'm going to stick them together. And now I need a way to clamp these. I think I have a small clamp in my block. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're cooking. We got this. We got this. Okay, I think it's good. I don't think it needs to clamp. It's set. I'm just gonna set this down, and I'm gonna let that cure. I might not be able to come back to it today. I might have to do that later because I want to make sure it really sets up. But I think that's gonna work. So my plan is that now that I've cemented on this little tab piece, I can grab this and pull it out, and that should pull out the vent with it. And then I'll just be able to break the tab off, and it should be okay. Finally received my Eternal Star Glory, and it's not the special edition I paid for over. Yeah, that means you were probably pushed back to the second release batch, because only the first production batch had the special colors. So I'm gonna put in the other vent while I'm here. There. Okay. Didn't we spend like what, half an hour putting together those 2 to 3 pieces? Yeah, that's a 2S stream, all right. I don't think I need these anymore. So okay. Oh, hey, literally the next runner I need is the one that I cut the label off of. Good thing I remember what it was called. Given 0 notice about it. Yeah, that sucks. You spent half of it looking at horse butt? No, I spent it looking at horse thighs. The horse was from the side, not the back, so I was looking at the thighs. Horse thighs are a perfectly acceptable thing to look at. Especially when they're basically just human thighs in the shape of a horse. Half an hour looking at centaur women and 5 minutes of building. I mean, look, you're not wrong, but still. I don't need this anymore. The house built. Oh no, Mr. Flunkorg, you don't know. You haven't been watching the stream. The build quality has been, I mean, like the actual. I keep trying to be nice to this kit because I genuinely do like it, but there's pieces that don't fit together. There's pieces that fit together really tightly. I just had these 2 pieces that I assembled, and I couldn't get apart. So I've basically had to cement a piece of the runner to that part. So when the cement cures, I'll be able to pull it out. That's what I've had to resort to get those pieces apart. Because there's multiple runners with different colors that are the same runner. So here, for example, is an O runner. Here, also for your consideration, is an O runner. Now, if you have particularly good eyesight, you might notice that these 2 runners are not exactly the same. Well, the manual treats them as if they're the same, and they just expect you to eventually figure out that one's yellow and one's gray. Oh, God, no, it's not anything close to Mechanicore. It's not even remotely... This is not even like a 1/10 of a Mechanicore in terms of, like, the build frustration. It's just that... It's just a little rocky here and there. But it's mostly fine. You go on the bottom. Yeah, not even 100th. Like I said, the only times that I've ever seen someone sell a model that they had partially built but didn't complete have always been Mechanicore kits. They're the only company I've ever seen people do that with. Is this not... This has to go in... Oh, it doesn't go in further. That's literally it. It just rests inside of the piece and protrudes. Okay. Also, Flunk, if you just arrived, you missed the horse arc. We were talking about centaur women and the biological implications. This build's like watching an anime protagonist reach the end of their mark. Like looking back and exclaiming, we've come so far. Yeah, and then he turns around and there's Still more to do. And then there's the filler episode where he meets the horse girl. I guess the Gaia Impulse is like a reverse Centaur. Gaia Impulse. Oh yeah, I forgot about that thing. That is kind of Centaur adjacent. RecTech New Hampshire is what I reference as the hardest Minecraft mod pack that takes thousands of hours and has giant flowchart production trains. Mechanic Core is the gunpla for that. Oh hey, the O-Runner again. That means we can choose between yellow and gray. Now, for this, so it'll be the whatever color this little crack chevron is here between the two parts, and I think gray would look better there. Because we've already got a big section of yellow on the bottom with the vents, so I'm going to use the gray parts. Oh hey Matt, see you later. Trying to get into centaur fetish now because they don't have toes, he's into hooves. No, these centaurs have toes. That's what's so interesting about them, is they have the human feet, they have the human legs. And I prefer the legs over the feet, to be honest. But the feet are there, I guess the feet are fine. I didn't really mean to say feet there. Mechanic Core is cool, and they release these very sexy CGI art, and then a kit that doesn't quite... Yeah. They're a really great team of CG artists that also make model kits. I feel like it takes them forever to release their models, too. Like, I feel like there's some Mechanic Core kits that they announced, like, maybe years ago that never got released. Or at least I never saw anyone actually build them. One day they'll make the Diadalga Odin from Amazing Ready into a kit. Diadalga Odin. Let me look that up. That's that one that's like the mass-produced Destiny Impulse, right? Oh yeah, yeah it is. It's a recolor of it. That's cool. That's a cool looking. Oh, I see. I found the image that you were referring to now. Uh-huh. Okay. Where does that even go? It's not folded up into the legs. Where does the quadruped go when it's in its standard Gundam form? Is it like a separate unit that detaches? Like this doesn't... I don't understand how this works. Oh wait, no, I see. The front half of the horse is folded up on the back, and you fold it down and then you rotate the torso, so the front becomes the back. I think I get how this works. Number 2 says something sus, he instantly doubles down on it, then says I shouldn't have said that, and regrets it. Pretty much. I almost got the Ziegler, I was right at the buy stage, but something happened where I couldn't afford it, blessings. Yeah, I would probably never... I can't see myself ever really buying a Mechanic Core kit. Oh, this is a slide open gimmick. You like slide these apart, and you can just barely almost see these little pipe details between them. It's incredibly subtle, and you're probably not going to actually notice it, and you're probably never going to use it. Okay. The hardest thing about Mechanic Core is wiring the LEDs while building. If that wasn't there, anyone could do it. They're just very hard and tedious. Yeah, it's just... I have, like, no desire to ever build a Mechanic Core kit. It's just not something that even remotely interests me. That should be the last of the L-Runner is. I feel like Chinese kits have a lot of details like that. Yeah, it's neat. Like there's a lot of work put into this kit. It's just it needed like a few more passes of like final polish before releasing it. Dialga Odin separately outfitted with a modified Gaia silhouettes with a separate unit. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really, when I first saw the pictures, I didn't really fully understand how that was supposed to work. Once I saw the line art of it from behind, it made a little more sense. But what confused me was the basic picture of it just showed it with the standard Destiny wings. So I was like, where is this centaur materializing from? But apparently it's like it's got another form with like the half of the Gaia Gundam's folded up on its back. I'm gonna let y'all bask in the centaur while I clean these nubs. I still can't believe that just off a basic description, Dipper was able to immediately find what I was talking about. Okay. To be fair, outside of the whole not clarifying that there's multiple runners with different colors thing, the instructions are pretty clear. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if Dipper was just if he's just a chat GPT that was trained specifically on sus internet content. I feel like I'm gonna break something trying to get these two to go together. There we go. No damage done. Aha. Just a normal guy, as they say. Yep. Regular guy. With a very regular set of skills. $25, $28, 1 and 2 from the G runner. That is one of the gray ones. G for gray. Nice that it worked out that way. Someone should probably tell the Gundam Build Fighter mechanical designers to either stop cooking or cook harder. Dude, there are so many like really cool designs in the Build Fighters manga that nobody knows about. There is some wild, wild stuff in the manga. It's honestly some of the most creative kits in Build Fighters because those are the ones that were never intended to be made as actual kits. So the designers were able to go crazy with them instead of trying to build them to the accommodations of what Bandai could actually release as a product. The second stage Zaft Gundams kind of bugged me, other than the Impulse, which got the Destiny Impulse units, and the Gaia that had the Wild Daggers made for it. Abyss... No, actually, I think Abyss, Savior, and Chaos do have some variants. It's just that they're not very well known. There's absolutely variants of the Chaos. There's a version of the Savior Gundam called the Vent Savior from one of the Astray manga. There's quite a few different variations that are based off of them. They're just not as mainstream or well known as the others. Gundam's very much match-nicer. Yeah, but like sometimes that was what was cool about seeing Build Fighters, was that with the Build Fighters manga, you got to see some interesting designs that wouldn't necessarily get made as kits. Like the Astray Noisemaker, or Noise Canceller, I think it was Astray Noise Canceller. That's something that is a really weird oddball Astray variant that would have required a lot of new tooling, so they probably wouldn't have made that as an actual kit. But we still got to see how it looks in the manga. I'll never die happy if they don't give me a proper Nyaya kit. Yeah, the Nyaya was fun. There's actually I think there's a resin kit of that floating around. I've seen it online before, but it would be nice to have an actual, something actually from Bandai. Yeah, I would sell. Cats are so okay. Yeah. Yeah, it would be popular, especially if they released it back when the Bear Guy was at its peak, because it's very much Bear Guy adjacent. It's got that cutesy moe animal look to it. Like, the people that love the Bear Guys would have adored Nyaya. Stray noise cancer is kind of bad. It's kind of ugly, but it doesn't look anything like a normal Astray. It's something that they couldn't have. If it was being made, if it had to be made from an Astray mold, they probably wouldn't have made that kit. Like, it's not something that would have really worked as an actual model. Okay, this mechanism works way better once you have the bottom pieces attached to it. That's good, at least. But, like, Zaft made the Abyss, and it was good, and then nobody made a mass... I think there might literally be a mass production Abyss. Or maybe it was Chaos Gundam. But I've definitely seen a mass production mobile suit based off one of those two before. So it has been done. Nyaya clears Bear Guy. Oh yeah, lots of things clear Bear Guy. I still insist that the Momo Kapool clears Bear Guy. I love that thing, and I'm so bummed that it didn't take off the way the Bear Guy did. I saw the Forbidden Blue Vortex, which are based off the Forbidden. I think I saw something based off the Abyss or the Chaos. I know what the Forbidden Blue Vortex is, but I think I saw something that was based off of those. Let me look this up. Come on. Chaos. Chaos Gundam. So we have variations. Proto Chaos, Chaos Impulse Gundam. Okay. Is that really it? I'm certain I saw... I mean, maybe it was the Forbidden Blue. I thought I saw something that was based off the Chaos or the Abyss. Huh. Okay. I guess not. Yeah, there's literally nothing else listed for it on Gundam Wiki. Worth keeping in mind, Bandai still does tooling the old-fashioned way where an old guy meticulously makes the master molds. Yep. It's not stupid at all. It's how they get them to be as precision as they are. They finish them by hand. Most Naoki designs from Jim and Ball are literally impossible. Yeah, there's some really crazy stuff there. But we did get some cool ones, like the Stormbringer. I have that in my backlog, and I want to get to it at some point, but never been the right time. Chaos and Abyss just kind of get forgotten about. Yeah, they kind of do. Yeah, I saw that new Stormbringer variant. It looked like just a recolor, nothing super crazy. Well, let's take a look at this. So, come on. There you go. I was like, I'm going to be so bummed if I break the neck on this trying to swap out the head for the one I don't like. Although, with that said, I actually really like how that looks. It's not as cool as the sniper head, but man, That is a cool looking head design. This really has the look of like some sort of protagonist unit from Super Robot Wars, or maybe a extremely non-canon UC or Cosmic Era like protagonist suit. That is so cool. And then you have the... In order to attach these, you have to pull off these little cap pieces on the side of the leg. I don't know how easily these come out. I don't know if I can just quickly pry these out or if I'll need to... Okay, I can't pull these out right now, but there's these little covers that you pull off, and that allows you to tab these onto the legs and gives you the Pale Rider style boosters. Should have given Moo and M1 a stray with Chaos gun pods. Oh, that would have been kind of cool. There's a full set of Gaia, Chaos, and Abyss at the nearby Forbidden Planet. I guess no one really wants them. I mean, they're decently popular. They're just not, like, A-list popular. The ventless mouse gives personal crew provides. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I really do like the look of the head. The gold being only on the V-fin is a little weird. It would have been nice if there was a yellow option as well, since they give you so many optional parts, but it still goes pretty hard. Let me grab the other shield. I mean, he's kind of cool. I really, with all the things that are kind of frustrating about this kit, I can't really stay mad at it. I genuinely do. As bad as this kit gets at some points, I genuinely like it. I genuinely like this kit. I'm in a toxic relationship with the SFI Sentinel because I love this thing no matter how badly it treats me. This kit looks like it would absolutely fit in with... This looks like something you'd see in the Blue Destiny reboot manga. That new one that they introduced the Gym Dominance in. Okay, I say new, it's almost a decade old now, but the newer Blue Destiny manga is exactly where I'd expect to see this, or in Missing Link. This really looks like something from Missing Link, or one of those adjacent side story PS3 games. It's totally got that look. I could see this fitting right in with the G-Line, the Full Armor 7th, the Pale Rider, the Gym Dominance, the Gym Spartan. It's very much one of those style of units. Looks straight from... It does kind of... Yeah, Mass Builder has a very similar aesthetic to this. I feel like I could definitely build this in Mass Builder. Speaking of Bandai, please make the Wild Falcon. Figurized standard SRW would go so hard too because of Boo. Yes, it would, actually. Man, there's so many, like, massively underrated, great-looking female characters in SRW. They just get, like, no love or attention whatsoever. The day you move it slightly, the metal frame shatters the torso. I mean, honestly, I think the hips are going to probably go before anything else. Did I see the Gundam Universe, Gundam EX? Yeah, I did. It looks so awful. All the... They cheat you so hard in those stock photos because they made sure to both light the scene and crank up the contrast so it looked like the shadows in the gaps of the armor were panel lines that were actually painted in, but the whole thing is just flat gray. You can't see any of the... It's one of those designs where the cracks in the armor where you can see the frame through it is like 95% of the design, and that's just not there on the Universe figure. It's just primer gray from head to toe, and it looks so just absolutely fugly. It's especially embarrassing because they showed it next to the high grade, and the high grade just steamrolls the figure completely. It was such a bad idea for them to display them side by side because they genuinely just made the Gundam Universe figure look like total ass. Fun fact, the Blue Destiny 2 red shoulders are just red paint over blue shoulders. Bandai confirmed it because people were confused about the figure. Yeah, I saw that. The Blue Destiny 2 Robot Damashi came out recently, and the shoulders are just like a layer of orange paint painted over the blue shoulders, but according to Bandai, that's actually how the shoulders are supposed to look. Because it was a captured unit, right? So they captured it when it was all blue, and then they painted over the orange afterwards. I want a high-grade Odyssea, one of my top 5 designs, but no one knows about it. I don't either. Play SRWX? I have, and I still don't know what that is. I mean, I played like 20 minutes of it, but still. Not the H shield. Look, the design is rubbish, but at least the HG is a faithful recreation of the design. Genuine quality and effort went into that kit, even if the end result was hideous. I love how the HGs look like their souls were sucked out and they're just slumped there, right? Like, you could tell the guys that were like narrating and running the stream did not give a shit about them at all. They were just like getting super hyped for G Gundam, and then they're just like, oh yeah, here's some Gundam EX stuff, I guess. I think they're right on the same page as we are, to be honest. No, they're not. The shoulders in the line art are hollow wraps. There's no blue panel. I wonder if we'll ever see the RX-80 Blue Destiny units. You mean the one? Is that the one that's from the remake manga? Because the Ver anime is at fault? Maybe. I mean, it's the Ver anime is the first place where it's really noticeable, but I mean, it makes sense they would be painted over, but it also sounds like Bandai covering their ass because they messed up the figure. Ver anime is correct because of Sega Saturn game. Yeah, I've never played the original Blue Destiny game, so I have no idea which would be correct from the original source material. Yeah, but even if the Saturn game's like that because of limitations, the whole point of the anime figures is that they're like hyper accurate and faithful. Although I guess if they were super faithful to the Saturn, they'd be like super low poly too. Man, that would be cool. That would be a really cool spin-off of the Gundam anime line, would be if, in addition to the super line art accurate figures they've been doing, what if they did like PlayStation 1 or Sega Saturn like super low poly figures? Like a really low poly Blue Destiny, or some like really low poly Federation suits from like Federation versus Zeon. Just, that would be fun. That would be a really fun angle for them to go. They could have like really, really blurry decals on them from the low-res PS1 textures. Rough, like, anti-aliasing edges. In the remake manga of Blue Destiny, the Blue Destiny 2 and 3 aren't ground-type Gundams, they're RX-80s. Okay, interesting. I don't think I read that far into the manga because only the first volume or so was translated. Okay, you have no idea how often I have to argue with people that old games look the way they do is purely through limitations. Look at Final Fantasy VI pixel characters versus their drawn versions. I'll be real with you, brother. I don't think they'll sell. Oh, I know they won't sell well. I just think they'd be cool. I don't care if it sells well. I want them. I don't care if it bankrupts Bandai. I want my weird niche figures that sell specifically to me. The way the shoulder is a limitation, since having the thin square shoulder joint covered by a hollow orange shoulder pad does seem like too much versus making a solid shoulder with a blue panel there. Figma used to do the low polygon figures with virtual... Oh, that's right, I remember those. For the Virtua Fighter characters. That would be... Oh, for Virtual On. Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be a good use for that. Just do like some like really... Look, if we can get a modern model kit of the Gundam that's specifically designed to look like the old jank kit from the 80s, then we can get an action figure of the Gundam that's low poly PS1 or Saturn. Yeah, dude, you're in a Gundam stream, MJ. We all like niche stuff. I wonder if these holes are the same size. It looks like they are, but there's not enough clearance for it. I was seeing if I could get these to form like kind of Yakushiki style wings. Doesn't quite work. Could use that in reverse though, maybe to attach the boosters to the arms. I'm trying to play around with the different attachments and connectors and see what kind of interesting alternate combinations I can do. I was just asking around for opinions on the Gym Type C because I want to pick up the Wagtail. The Gym Type C is pretty cool. I really like the Power GM especially. It's just an awesome looking design. And it's a basic kit, right? It's a basic kit. It's like a late 2000s GM, but it does what it needs to do to be a GM. I think if you want to pick it up, I think you're going to enjoy it. I want to get both upcoming RX-78s and compare. That would be interesting. I don't care if it's retailer or P Bandai. 80 is too much for a Stark Jeeg, and I hope it gets bootleg. Yeah, it's some of those P Bandai kits are just too much. Like they just released the Gundam base version of the Regizy on the US P Bandai shop, and it's $67. And it's a slightly larger mobile suit, but most of that kit is from 20 years ago. It's an old model. And yeah, it's not a terrible kit. They made some modifications to improve the really bad parts of it, but it's still a kit that I would pay like maybe $50 for tops, maybe $55. $67 is just too much for something like that. Bandai is a company that doesn't really know how popular things are, so have another RX-78. I mean, I get it. It's for the anniversary. It only happens every 5 years. They got to celebrate it somehow. Like the new DOMs being 90. Yeah, those new DOMs are super overpriced. Crazy. I'm gonna let that sit in here more. Type C Wagtail might be the only kit we get out of Trader to Destiny, so of course we want. Yeah, Trader to Destiny. Honestly, I like the Trader to Destiny designs way more than the standard Advanced Zeta ones because it's not just the same 3 Gundams with a bunch of kit bash parts on them. They're actually interesting and different. Like you've got that crazy zebra stripe pattern Dazzle camo Gym Cannon 2. You got the Wagtail. You got the Kestrel. I think the Kestrel looks really cool. I'd love a kit of that, but probably not going to happen. It's 77 because of the shipping. There is yeah, I guess it's 70. It's 77 with shipping. I think there's some sort of free shipping campaign they did recently, so I could get it for 67, but still 77 with shipping. Then you got tax on top of that, which in most states is going to be at least $3. So you're basically looking at $80 shipped for a master grade Regizy from 20 years ago. They released an entire HD line with some of the coolest, most unique designs ever, and not a single one is standard release. If you're talking about Advanced Zeta, I mean, I kind of get it. Like, there's a lot of like recycling and reuse between the kits, but I think some of the big ones, like the Woundwort, they could have done at retail. It's just because those were some of the earlier kits in the line, they weren't sure if it was going to do well, so they ended up doing stuff like the Woundwort as P Bandai. And I mean, honestly, if we're in a world where we can't get an Ultron TV version at retail, we are never getting anything Advanced Zeta at retail. Just full stop. It's not going to happen. Wait, they did April Fool's box art for the Kestrel? Was that an official Bandai thing, or was that something someone did on social media? Look, wait for the next wave that usually drop the prices. I mean, I don't know if they're regularly dropping the prices or if they just dropped the prices for a few kits that they released during COVID when all the shipping prices and stuff were higher, because I don't know if they've done price reductions for super recently released kits. Although it's hard to tell because they haven't been around long enough to get a price reduction, so who knows, but I'm not entirely certain that's going to get a price reduction, but it would be nice if it did, because for around $50, $55, it would be a genuinely nice kit to pick up. I would actually like to get one, but I'm not interested in paying the prices it's going for right now. I want that in the Gullen Bursty in HG. Yeah. It was official, you can see it on the wiki. I like the, yeah. Okay, so, well, I said I was going to finish all the weapons today. But after this, I'm kind of getting a little burned out on it. I've built the parts for the form that I want to display my kit in, and I built some of the parts for the other form. I probably will finish it at some point. I have no idea if it'll be on stream. So the kit is what it is. I think it's kind of neat. He can't really hold his gun very well. That's a little silly considering he's a sniper unit. He should be able to hold it better. Actually, speaking of sniper units, how's his prone pose? Oh, wow. His prone's actually really good. Hold on. He could actually get a really good prone sniping pose. Look at how far up his head goes. You could totally do a prone sniper pose with this. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool, at least. I don't think that's how I display him, but it's cool that he has the articulation for it. But I feel like I've pretty much built the parts that I would want as I'm displaying the kit, so I will probably build the others at some point for completion, but this is probably the last time you'll be seeing this kit on stream. Yeah, man, ID, the centaur made me feel a certain way. I think I might have to end the stream a little early, but... The Kestrel April Fool's Day box official thing on Gundam Info. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I'll do the rest off stream. We're going to start another kit since I'm sure you guys are getting kind of burned out on this one, so... Next time we'll probably do the Calibarn. Oh yeah, the Center Tark was great. So thanks for coming around. We had a good talk. We talked about horses. We talked about women shaped like horses. We built some Gunpla. We might have permanently ruined some Gunpla. We have yet to see if this will actually work, but I guess I'll get back to you on that one. So let me just bring back our friends for this. Where am I grabbing her? Yeah, okay. I'm grabbing the right picture. Good. Want to grab the wrong... No, don't want to grab the wrong one. There we go. I'll put you here. And you here. And I'm going to put these below myself. So I appear over them. There we go. They get... Oh, because the new Gex, like, re-release. Man, I thought that was... When I saw the trailer for that Gex thing, I thought it was going to be a remaster, and they kept showing, like, the old graphics of the trailer, and then it turned out it's literally just a re-release of the games. How long until you start? It's going to be another year break? No, probably not too long. I'll be back in, like, a week or two at the latest. See you for the Calibarn stream. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that one. So, I think that'll be just about it for tonight. So, let me just get my avatar working, and there we go. So, thanks for watching, guys. I feel silly telling you to subscribe at the end of a stream because realistically, if you're here by now, you're subscribed. But if for some reason you aren't, the button's right down there and you know what to do with it. As always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.